Clerk, do you have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, that is the quorum bell currently underway, and this is as directed by the Speaker of the Senate, pursuant to the House Standing Order number 39 and 40. 39, which talks about the quorum of the Senate, is that the quorum of the Senate shall be 15 senators. At the commencement of the sitting of the Senate, if there is no quorum present when the chair is taken at the time appointed for sitting of the Senate, the Speaker shall immediately after the prayer order the bell be rung for 10 minutes. This is Standing Order number 40, that if at the appointed time for a sitting of the Senate and the prayer has been said but there is no quorum, then that bell will be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is to give some room for the members who are yet to make their way to the chambers to be able to walk in and allow the House attain that required number of members inside the chambers at the commencement of the House business for the business to begin. That is the Honorable Kavindu from Machakos County. And of course, from now until the bell maybe goes off, is that the members will be walking in. Remember, the Sergeant at Arms and the clerk are keeping tabs with the members inside the chambers, and once that quorum is achieved, then the Speaker will call the House to order for the commencement of the House business. The business of this morning, Wednesday morning, is that a Cabinet Secretary is set to appear before the Senate to respond to questions by the Senate members, and this is pursuant to the House Standing Order number 51C, where the Cabinet Secretaries will be responding to a number of questions that senators, and these questions are of national interest, issues of national or county interest that the senators represent. This morning, we understand that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration is set to appear before the Senate chambers, and five senators have questions for the Cabinet Secretary. We shall be looking at those questions, but the business of the day is that once the Cabinet Secretary appears, then he will be able to respond to these questions that the senators have with regards to number of issues affecting either the country or the counties in which they represent. Among the senators that will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration a number of questions is the Senator for Meru County, Senator Kathuri Murungi, who is also the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, and the Honorable Senator will be seeking to understand from the Cabinet Secretary the status of investigations into the abduction, torture and execution of one Mr. Daniel Muthiani Bernard, who is deceased, also known as Sniper, who went missing on 2nd December 2023 and whose mutilated body was found dumped in River Mutonga in Tharaka Nithi County on 16th December 2023. Also, whether the Cabinet Secretary could explain the inordinate delay in conclusion of the said investigation. Also, the Cabinet Secretary would want to understand from the Cabinet Secretary why there has not been regular communication on the status of the investigations in light of the public interest in the matter. These are questions that the Honorable Senator for Meru County is seeking to get responses from the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, who is set to appear before the Senate for responding, or for the purpose of responding to concerns that these members have raised with regards to national interest or county interest. That is the Chief Majority Whip, Honorable Boni Halwale. Remember, at this point, the Chief Whip normally mobilizes the members to be able to get into the chambers for the House to attain its required number. If you're just joining us, is that currently is a quorum bell underway. The chair has been taken, the prayer has been said, but the House cannot commence its business due to lack of the quorum at the commencement of House business. 15 members, as per the standing order, need to be inside the chambers seated for the House to be able to commence its business. Lack of that quorum, or failure to have that quorum at the commencement of House business, then it would necessitate that particular quorum bell for the members to be alerted that their presence inside the chambers is highly required. If at any point they could be within the precincts of Parliament but yet to get to the chambers, that the House business cannot start because that number that will give it way for the commencement of House business is not present. Thereby their presence inside the chamber is highly required. So right until then, we will be, or we are likely to see that members will be walking in. House leadership at this point also is usually needed or required to call the members to allow the House achieve that particular required number of members inside the House. The Senator for Turkana County, Honorable James Lomenen, also has questions for the Cabinet Secretary, that is the Majority Whip, counting the members inside the chambers to see whether that number has yet been achieved or not. Once it's achieved, I'll be able to hand you over back to the House business for this morning. But until then, we shall continue to take a look at the highlights of the day. And the Senator for Turkana County, James Lomenen, will be seeking to get responses on a few questions from the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. And these questions include whether the ministry has undertaken an impact assessment of the curfew imposed in major towns and centers in Turkana County, particularly Lokichar, Nakabosan, Kekunyuk, Kalemngorok, Kaputir, Kakongu, and Kainuk areas. And if yes, there has been an impact assessment, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the extent to which the curfew has achieved its intended purpose? Also, the Senator would want the Cabinet Secretary to explain the higher prevalence of crime during curfew hours compared to non-curfew hours, and clarify whether this is attributable to security personnel allowing unauthorized vehicles and individuals to move around during curfew hours. Well, we are yet to find out whether that quorum has been achieved. Remember, standing order number 39.
Honorable Senators, informed that we do have quorum now, so we'll proceed with today's business. Clerk, proceed to call the first order, please.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Now, honorable senators, we do have 5 questions today. All these questions directed to the CS in charge for Interior and National Administration. Clerk, do we have the CS present? You may proceed to usher the CS to the chamber, please. Now, honorable senators, the CS Interior National Administration is in the House, and therefore we shall proceed because we have 5 questions, and I believe quite a number of supplementary questions will flow from these 5 questions. Now, I wish to rearrange the order in which these questions will be responded to. The Deputy Speaker, who is also the Senator for Meru, is scheduled to address the Meru County Assembly today at 2:30. He has a question, that is question number 038, and therefore we will allow him to ask the question first, and thereafter we will go to question number 001 by the Honorable Senator for Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojenda. So, Honorable Senator for Meru, you may now proceed to ask the question.
Much of raised, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, I ask question number 038, which is as follows. A, what is the status of investigations into the abduction, torture, and execution of Mr. Daniel Mutheni Bernard, who is deceased, alias Sniper, who went missing on 2nd December 2023 and whose mutilated body was found dumped in Iliva Mutonga in Tharaka County on 16th December 2023. And B, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the inordinate delay in conclusion of the scene investigations? And C, the last one, why has there not been regular communication on the status of the investigations in light of the public interest in this matter? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, welcome back to the Senate. You may now proceed to respond to question number 038.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the question by the Senator for Meru County, the Honorable Kathuri Murungi, I state as follows. That the late Daniel Mutiani Bernard, alias Sniper, was a resident of Likadhi Village, Igembe South Sub-County in Meru County. Until his death, he was a political blogger who criticized the governor of Meru County and her administration. He used his social media platforms to deliver his messages to the governor, the county government of Meru, friends and close relatives of the governor. Mr. Speaker, sir, investigations so far have established that on 2nd December 2023, the deceased was at his home when he received a call from one Vincent Muredi, alias Supu, who requested to meet with him at Meru Town to attend an alleged meeting with the governor of Meru County to discuss their differences so that the deceased could stop attacking her on social media. Upon arrival at Meru Town, he was abducted and driven to Mutonga River in an area called Chiakariga in Tharaka Nithi County. He was killed and his body thrown into River Mutonga at a place called Mutonga Bridge, where that body remained for several days undiscovered. Honorable Speaker, sir, his disappearance was reported at Maoa Police Station by the family members, and investigations commenced immediately. A police file number CR 434-295-2023 was opened. The deceased body was discovered on 6th of December 2023 by a resident of Karikivi area at a place they normally fetch water. That place is called Majarani, and she reported the same to the police station. Police officers from Chiakariga Police Station and DCI from Tharaka South visited the scene, and the unknown deceased body, which had some visible injuries, was retrieved from the river Mutonga on 7th December 2023. The body was taken to Marimanti Level 4 Hospital Mortuary, which is in Tharaka Nithi County, where the crime happened, for preservation, awaiting identification and postmortem. Right Honorable Speaker, the relatives to the deceased managed to positively identify the said body as that of their kin, Daniel Mutiani Bernard, alias Sniper, on 18th December 2023, and the same day, detectives from the Homicide Investigations Unit in Nairobi took over the investigations from the area police, and this was because of the highly politicized and sectional emotional sentiments that were coming at that time and still are coming until now about the commission of that grievous crime against the deceased. And therefore, we sent a team of detectives from the homicide unit in Nairobi to take it over from the local police authorities in Meru. Mr. Speaker, sir, a post-mortem was conducted by the Chief Government Pathologist, Dr. Johansen Oduor, on 22nd December 2023. And in his opinion, the cause of death was asphyxia due to ligature strangulation. Mr. Speaker, sir, investigations have placed 5 accused persons at the scene of the abduction: Vincent Mureithi Kiremi, Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai, Christus Manyara Kiambi, Brian Mwenda, and Boniface Kithinji Njuya. These 5 were together with the deceased from Meru town all the way to Mutonga River, where the body was dumped. Further, samples collected during the post-mortem examination and submitted to the government chemist for analysis indicated that it contained acetamiprid and cyhalothrin, which are systemic insecticides. Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai was particularly in constant communication with Vincent Mureithi alias Supu during the time of luring the deceased, the time of abduction, and the time of the disposal of the body. He thereafter met Vincent and the other accused persons at Makutano suburb of Meru County after the execution of the crime. At the close of the investigations, a charge, at least on those 5, investigations have closed on those 5, or were closed on those 5, and a charge of murder contrary to section 203 as read together with section 204 of the Penal Code was recommended against Vincent Mureithi alias Supu, Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai alias Tali, Christus Kiambi Manyara alias Chris, Brian Mwenda alias Brayo, and Boniface Kithinji Njuya alias DJ Kaboom. All the 5 accused persons were charged before the High Court at Kiambu in High Court Criminal Case E001 of 2024, and they all pleaded not guilty. They are remanded at Nairobi and Kitengela remand prisons. The case was last mentioned on 23rd of April 2024. The hearing of this case has been set. The hearing dates are 24th, 25th, and 26th. And then the ruling on bail is set on 16th May 2024, which is next week. Honorable Speaker, sir, investigations were commenced immediately the report was made, and from the foregoing, it is not true that there has been delay in investigations. What there has been is that we believe this is a very complicated crime. There could have been other people beyond the 5 who may have been responsible, but we are yet to establish any direct or circumstantial evidence so that we can open additional charges for any additional people. But for the 5, Honorable Speaker, we have a watertight murder case against the 5. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government is committed to uphold the freedom of expression and right of information as enshrined in the Constitution. Any journalist or blogger who is intimidated or harassed is encouraged to report to the nearest police station or even to anonymously report so that action can be taken. And I want to assure the House, through you, Honorable Speaker, that the government is committed to make sure that our agencies for law enforcement act fairly and enforce the law against all persons without fear or favor, without discrimination, and without any bias. Honorable Speaker, our police officers have been sensitized on upholding the rule of law and constitutionalism, and therefore nobody should feel unsafe, nobody should feel as if they are not protected by the law of Kenya or by the law enforcement agencies of our country. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Meru, you have an opportunity to ask 2 supplementary questions pursuant to Standing Order 51C7.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I want to thank the CS for the comprehensive brief that he has given this House, and also to commend him because he is one of the visible CSs that we have in this country and who are doing some good work. So, Mr. Speaker, mine was actually to ask the CS whether the investigations have been concluded. He has touched on it. And, Mr. Speaker, the reason that why I'm asking so is that this homicide department of our police force has not delved on the sponsors or the people who paid these 5 who are already in the cells. At no point has there been any link to any other person on this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, my first supplementary question is to ask why this investigating body has never touched on the sponsors of this matter. Noting that, Mr. Speaker, Sniper is still in mortuary. He has never been buried. The family, the wife, the family, the entire Meru community is waiting for justice for Sniper. And the whole community has agreed this guy will never be buried until we see justice is being done. If at all we could get that link of who are these sponsors, because the CSC statement was very clear who Sniper was.
Senator for Meru.
Let me even ask this only this supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Let me guide you. I'm not going to gag you. Let me guide you. Honorable Senator for Meru, you are expressing an opinion. And if you look at Standing Order 51B, which gives you the parameters of a question, it says a question shall not, and it gives many components, and F says seek an expression of an opinion. The opinion you're giving is that there are sponsors behind this homicide. Now, the space you're trying to get into, you may be called upon to substantiate, and I don't think you'll be in a position to do that comfortably. So, as you ask the supplementary question, avoid giving your opinion on this matter. Proceed, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Is then to request the CS for speedy investigations, whatever bit that is remaining. We request as a Meru community for speedy investigation so that can be concluded, because he really said that investigations are still ongoing to see whether there are other people involved. So I request that BMB expedites more investigations so that this guy can get justice, and then he will be put to rest, because still he is in the mortuary, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, investigations have not concluded. The murder file on the deceased is still open, and murder files are never closed, and there is no statute of limitations on murder offenses, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House through you that all persons who may have participated in any way, directly or indirectly, in the heinous and cruel murder of the deceased will be held accountable. Mr. Speaker, as the Minister responsible for our national security, I want to assure the Senate that the government has full confidence in the work of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, particularly the inquiry an investigation being carried out by the homicide unit in this particular matter and all the other matters, and therefore there is no cause of alarm. And finally, Honorable Speaker, in the event that any member of the public has any information that can help us link anyone that they think there is evidence linking them to this murder, please give us the evidence. But at the moment, we are analyzing data, and that I take cue from the request by the Senator. We'll be asking the agencies to expedite without, of course, interfering with this work that is being done. We want to make sure by the time we take people to court, we will have them convicted. For these 5, I see no room for maneuver. They will have to be held accountable because the evidence is watertight.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish the CS and his department well as they try to establish a nexus between this crime and those people that they're saying have not been netted yet. Mr. Speaker, mine is a related question and a request to the CS. Mr. Speaker, you remember yesterday on the floor of this House, I brought the matter of the 7 Kenyans from Kitui who were murdered in a terror attack in Mandera on the 29th of April. The bodies of those Kenyans are lying at City Mortuary, and we have 4 of them admitted at Kenyatta National Hospital. It's a live matter, Mr. Speaker. Maybe the CS may not have the fine details of each of these cases, but just to extract a comment from him on the request that the families are making for reprieve with help in the treatment of those in hospital, the footing of the medical bills, in the making of the arrangements for burial expenses and body reconstruction for those who are blown up to pieces by the blast. All of them, Mr. Speaker, and I mentioned yesterday, they are neighbors of the CS. Of course, he is a national government official. They all come from Mwingi West and Mwingi Central constituencies, 7 of them. Can the CS make an undertaking that he will facilitate the taking care of the bills for those people that have been blasted in that bomb? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable Wambua, that is not a supplementary question. That is a substantive question. And therefore, Honorable CS, if you're in a position to respond to it, you may proceed. If you're not, you don't have to, because it is not a supplementary question as defined by our standing orders. Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have a long tradition in this country for governments, not just this particular administration, all governments, all administrations to support Kenyans in distress. And therefore, although the Senator for Kitui has ambushed me, invoking neighborhood and other true facts, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the Senator for Kitui, my brother, Senator Wambua, that the government will lend a hand of support to our brothers and who are affected by that attack, that unfortunate attack in Mandera on 29th of April. And the Senator is encouraged to get in touch with me this afternoon so that we can avail what government is able to do to support all the affected families.
Senator Mutinda Tabitha. Now, a supplementary question must relate to the primary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me start by appreciating the CS for the great work that he's doing. And on the issue of one sniper, Mr. CS, you know that one of the key evidences for any murder is 1, the body, 2, the weapon, 3, the motive. In this case, you have the body, you have the motive, which was criticizing the governor. In the 5 arrested accused people, we have Ken, who is a brother to the governor. We have Supu, who is the PA to the governor, the PA to the husband of the governor. We also have the crime scene, which you investigated, which was a home to the, is a home to the governor.
Senator Tabitha.
My question, Mr. Speaker.
Are those facts contained in the response by the CS?
Yes, they are contained, and that's where I'm bringing my question from. I'm basing my question on the feedback.
Now, the relationship between these people and the governor, are those facts contained in the response?
It is in the public domain that these are relatives, some of them are relatives to the governor, and that will make the CS understand my question, so that's why I put it like that, Mr. Speaker. And my question is to the CS, with those common denominators that all focus on one person, who is the governor of Meru, do you, in your view, are you seeing any connectivity of this killing by the said person? Was there any financing by the governor to these people? Because the call, as you indicated, was that the need of the call from Supu was to discuss on how the late sniper would stop criticizing the governor. And lastly, the cost of the mortuary that are still accruing each and every day simply because the family has not been able to give a decent send-off to their loved one. Is the government going to take this cost? Because the delay is on the government side, because if this case has been closed, then the family would have an opportunity to rest one of their beloved ones. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, before the CS responds, honorable senators, do not bring facts that you may be called upon to either prove or substantiate. The fact that some of them are relatives to the governor, that is not a matter in the public knowledge. I'm a member of the public and I'm not aware of those facts. And therefore, don't assume the role of a witness to give evidence. And again, you have to know that this matter is active in court. The reason why I approved this question was because it sought to get a general status of the investigations and what government has put in place to stop this kind of homicide. Beyond that, we will be going deep into the merit and demerits of this case, which I may not allow. Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond to the last limb of the question by Senator Tabitha.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for protecting me. Honorable Speaker, the basic principle of criminal law presupposes individual criminal responsibility. So one is connected with a crime as an individual, not through family relationship. And therefore for us, it's not important who is related to who. What is important to the investigators is whoever participated in any way, directly, indirectly, or by being an accessory after the fact, an aider or abettor of the crime will be brought to book. And I want to leave it at that point and appeal that we keep political and other things outside this. It's a purely criminal investigations, and justice will be served.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask a supplementary question in relation to the delay of decent burial of the deceased. Mr. Speaker, could the CS explain or indicate whether, as a government, bearing in mind that a murder trial can last for many years, is there a way, as a Minister of Interior, who we know is a studious minister with a clear mind as to what he's doing, and this matter being a family matter, is there a way his office can talk to the family so that now that some ground has been covered and some people have been charged, that they could now lay to rest the deceased? Bearing in mind that if we allow the state to be as it is, it could even be for 10 years. If they're waiting for somebody to be convicted so that they may rest the deceased, it could be a long. Is there anything you can do as a ministry, as an office, to convince the family to lay to rest the deceased? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we would encourage the family to rest their loved one, because first, criminal investigations are never closed. Criminal files are live forever. However, criminal investigations are also complex, and by the time you take someone to court, you must have good evidence so that you don't just engage in an act of futility where you arrest anybody who is mentioned without sufficient evidence and then they are acquitted by court. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, in line with the request and the suggestions by the distinguished Senator for Makueni, my friend, the Honorable Manzo, we are trying informally to reach out and talk to the family and the community to just rest their loved ones, because in case of anything, as members of this House are aware, we even exhume people when it is necessary, of course, through a court order, if it is necessary. So keeping the body unburied doesn't serve a lot of purpose. In any case, the government does not require any form of pressure to do what is right and what is just. When the victim is buried, when they are not buried, we'll still do what we must. So we will reach out, Honorable Speaker, as suggested, informally, but the decision and discretion lies with the family on when to rest their loved one.
Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the CS on the matter of Al-Shabaab.
No, I'm afraid, Honorable Senator, that I will not allow you to go that route, because under standing orders, the only thing you can do is to ask a supplementary question. And a supplementary question is a question that is related to the primary question. And if you look at the response, if you look at the question and the response by the CS, there's nothing Al-Shabaab in that matter. So if you have a burning question on Al-Shabaab, please file it with the clerk. I'll gladly approve it so that the CS can provide a response to it.
Mr. Speaker, I stand guided, but mine is related questions, and also the CS is an interior security. He knows what is going on.
I know
and
that,
again,
Honorable Mariam. I'm very
Mr.
much
Speaker,
aware. I did not say the CS is in charge of agriculture. I'm aware that is in charge of interior.
Mr. Speaker,
What I'm trying to guide you, if you look at your standing orders just before you, under Standing Order 51C7, A and B. You are allowed to ask a supplementary question. That is a right given to you by the standing orders. However, you're not supposed to ask any question that falls within the sphere of interior. You're supposed to pick a question that flows from the primary question. The question that is before the House as we speak relates to the murder of a blogger. So then pick it from there. Let your supplementary question flow from that. If not, you may take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, as you guided, but this is a burning question. Bandera is insecure.
File a question with the clerk, and the CS will gladly respond to it.
Mr. Speaker, please.
Senator Mariam, you're out of order. Take your seat. If you insist, I may ask you to leave the chamber. Please take your seat. Thank you. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also ask a supplementary question. Mr. Speaker, this matter is about a blogger who was murdered for expressing himself using the online media. We have had so many cases of this nature, Mr. Speaker, where bloggers have been killed and sometimes injured by the people who they are accusing. So even as the minister, the CS handles this case of Meru, we would like to know what the ministry has done over numerous other cases of this nature involving bloggers. So maybe the cabinet secretary can tell us more about cases of this nature which have been reported in the past. So that, you know, this country is a country of freedom of speech, and we would like to have people expressing themselves in all manner of ways. But if we allow this incident to go on, then we will be curtailing freedom of speech in this country. So can the CS tell us about other cases of this nature which have happened in the past and what the ministry is doing about it?
Honorable Osotsi, have you gone through the primary response by the CS, more particularly the last paragraph on page 3?
I have listened to the cabinet secretary very keenly.
Yes, he has, because that is one of the primary questions asked by the senator for Meru, and the written response actually captures that. Nevertheless, Honorable CS, if you have anything to add beyond what you've already stated in your written response, you may proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, over and above my written statement, I want to confirm, just as stated by the distinguished Senator Otsosi, that we have very many cases across the country of complaints, formally lodged complaints by bloggers and people in the cyberspace who have been threatened for expressing political or other views on the cyberspace. We have so many. And what we've done is that we have established a special unit within the DCI, which is handling threats and criminal activities that are being perpetuated on bloggers and people who exercise their freedom of expression through the cyberspace and get intimidated or harassed or punished for it. So we have set up a special unit which is monitoring, first of all, content that could be hateful or perhaps incite violence, but at the same time, that is the same unit that is responsible for protecting the freedom of expression through the cyberspace to ensure that bloggers and other people who express themselves do not attract criminal responses.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would want the Cabinet Secretary to tell this House what assurance he can give to the family of the deceased and the residents of Meru County that because of the nature of this case, that there would be no interference whatsoever and justice will be served and seen to be served. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable yes.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to assure the family and the community from where this crime has been committed that the government will ensure impartial and comprehensive investigations. And I also want to assure no one will interfere with this investigation. All the people where evidence had led us to investigate have been investigated, including the home of the governor, and nobody is above the law. Anybody who is linked will be punished, who is linked with this crime, and also nobody has the capability, the capacity to try interfering with this matter, because we will not allow crime to thrive because of interference. Nobody is powerful enough to interfere with the statecraft, especially on sensitive issues like national security.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the CS for the information given on the blogger who's been killed. In line with the same, Mr. Speaker, I know there is so much threat on the ground, more specifically to the bloggers, and I'm sure the CS is aware sometimes security agencies are also used by those who are in power to silence those bloggers. And number two, Mr. Speaker, there are counties where governors are recruiting youths in the name of Jeshi Fulani, Jeshi this, and Jeshi that. I don't know whether he's aware, but it's something that is actually worrying in most of the counties, and I can speak for Isiolo County. The CS should be on top of those things, and if it is happening, they should look for ways of stopping those kind of arrangement. I thank you.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to confirm that this cyberspace is being used, first of all, for freedom of expression, which is very good, but also, as I've just intimated a while ago, it is being used to incite violence and go overboard, even in some of that expression. So that is the one side of the story. The other side of the story, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that there are people who may want to use security officials to try and suppress opinion and harass people who express alternative political opinions. We are aware, and I want to confirm what the distinguished senator for Isiolo County has said, that we have active investigations as we speak in 19 counties of leaders and other influencers who have organized teams of online people to harass, intimidate, incite violence using the cyberspace. I want to assure the nation that the idea of setting up criminal gangs and groups, either to physically attack people for political or other reason, the idea of organizing groups of criminals to attack opponents and people of a divergent opinion online and propagate violence, we have to deal with that problem before it goes overboard. And therefore, in 19 counties, we are actively investigating groups of both physical and online gangs that are propagating violence in the name of freedom of expression. We will take action on all the actors, whether they are persuaded to support the government or they are in the opposition, because it's a threat to our security as a nation, and we must arrest this matter before it goes out of hand.
Now, honorable senators, we will now proceed to question number 001 by the Senator for Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojenda. You may now proceed to ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will proceed to ask question number 001. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on investigations into the intercommunal clashes that occurred in Sondu town in Kisumu County, which lies on the border region of Kericho and Kisumu counties during the demonstrations in June and July 2023? 2, what progress has the government made in the disarmament of armed groups in the town? And C, what measures has the government put in place to provide peaceful coexistence and prevent a recurrence of intercommunal clashes in the town? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. In response to the question number 001 by the Senator for Kisumu County, Professor Tom Ojenda, I state as follows: that the conflict in Sondu area along the Kericho-Kisumu border first has been there for a long time intermittently. But the particular episode that is the subject matter of this statement occurred around June and July 2023, and it was caused by two things. First, a boundary dispute between two sub-counties, Soin, Sigoet in Kericho County, and Nyakach sub-county in Kisumu County. That town of Sondu, both counties have been claiming are within their respective counties. Secondly, these clashes and violence occurred as or was triggered by revenue collection activities, where both counties, Kericho and Kisumu, wanted to collect revenue, as is in the case with several other neighboring counties across the country. What action has government done? We commenced investigations, but even the immediate action we did to de-escalate the violence was to post the elite general service unit a company or formation to de-escalate the violence and restore law and order. But other than the deployment, Honorable Speaker, we commenced investigations on all the criminals who were responsible for that mayhem, and we opened criminal suits and inquiries in the following cases. Inquest number 3 of 2023, the deceased person, Melzedek Odhiambo. It's pending before court. Inquest number 7/202, Brian Odhiambo Wino, pending under investigations. Number C, inquest number 9 of 202, Nicole Oko, pending under investigations. Number 4, inquest number 9/202, David Otieno, pending under investigations. Inquest number 9 of 203, Colin Sauma, pending under investigations. And inquest number 5 of 202, an arson case, which has also been subject to the inquiry. Further, inquiry case number 10 of 2023, Charles Auma, is pending before the ODPP for directions to prosecute. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, we believe that there are no armed groups in Sondu town. What we believe there are groups and gangs of youths from both sides, the Kericho side and the Kisumu side, who arm themselves with bows and arrows from time to time. And what we've done to make sure that these gangs do not regroup is we have issued a security directive against bearing of arms on both sides. No one is supposed to carry arms. Even as I've said, we have deployed a very, very effective GSU contingent, which has been patrolling that area for close to a year now with a lot of success. Right Honorable Speaker, these are the measures that the government has taken to promote peaceful coexistence in the Sondu town area. First, the deployment of the elite GSU squad, which is already stationed in the area. The officers are conducting a 24-hour patrol within the affected areas. Secondly, we changed the deployment. We did transfers of all police officers from both sides who had served there for a long time, because the evidence was pointing to some of them having been compromised and having been conflicted with the local issues in that area. Thirdly, Right Honorable Speaker, sir, we are encouraging the security teams from the Kericho side and the Kisumu side to carry joint patrols together, so that we make it clear to the residents of that area that security is a national asset. Security is a national good. It has nothing to do with boundaries. And therefore, the police, the National Police Service of Kenya, for example, whether they are serving in Kericho or Kisumu, are the National Police Service of the Republic of Kenya. So they are doing joint patrols. So on the Kericho side, the team from Kisumu and the team from Kericho patrolling together. And then occasionally also, on the Kisumu side, the two teams patrolling together. We believe this way will demystify, or rather reduce, the notion which was there, that the police on either side was trying to protect the interest of each side. These are National Police Service officers, and they serve the country equally. Right Honorable Speaker, thirdly, we have arrested and prosecuted suspects. The following people or accused persons have been arrested and arraigned before court for cattle theft, because in those skirmishes, there has also been a case of livestock theft, low scale but quite disruptive in that area. The following people have been arrested and taken to court: Festus Chepkwonyi, Charles Kipkemboi, Walter Omolo Ogutu, Gabriel Ombusa Bolo, Barak Omondi, and Paul Ngeso. We have also enhanced the sharing of intelligence among the security agencies and enhanced the collaboration with both state and non-state actors, including peace organization and other organizations in that area who are helping us with peace. The NCIC also, the National Commission National Cohesion and Integration Commission, has also been facilitating communities there to engage with each other, which is also a government initiative. And finally, I want to commend on behalf of the national government the efforts taken by the governors of the two counties recently, the governor of Kericho County, the governor of Kisumu County, by helping communities to talk to each other and make sure that we have long-standing peace in that area. Right, Honorable Speaker, sir, the measures that have been put in place are effective because normalcy has been returned in that area. The schools that had been closed have been reopened, businesses have resumed, and the Sondu open air market is currently operational. I submit.
Honorable Senator for Kisumu, pursuant to Standing Order 51C7A, you have
Yes,
the
Mr.
opportunity
Speaker.
to have
Yes,
two supplementary questions.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, my supplementary question is on floods that have afflicted the same victims of clashes. I want the CS to tell the House when he intends to visit the flood infested or the flood affected victims of the Sondu clashes. Mr. Speaker, sir, the sub-county of Nyakach specifically has been afflicted by floods, and the sub-county of Nyando and Kisumu. We have Kapothe, we have Nyakach, we have Kabonyo Kanyagwal that has suffered from the backflow of Lake Victoria. I just want the CS to tell the House when he's visiting Kisumu and myself, just to share with us, we want to know that the government is concerned about us, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether it will be in order for me just to say that I'll visit very soon, because the reasons are mainly two. Right now, the whole country is engulfed in a huge crisis, and we are trying to ensure that we respond and are available to as many emergencies as possible, including the emergency right now in Nyando. It's one of them. And secondly, also, this space, we do not have the privilege of having publicly available long-term calendars published. But I'll be in Kisumu soon in the next few days, and I'll notify the Senator for Kisumu County.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to welcome Majority Leader Emeritus, the CS for Interior, into this House, always diligent in finding time to come and respond to issues of members. And I appreciate when he takes time to engage us like he has done this morning. Mr. Speaker, I had earlier requested to speak, but you didn't grant me an opportunity. And serving in a position of responsibility or leadership in the House comes with its cost sometimes, part of which includes not picketing at the Speaker when they don't grant you an opportunity. And therefore, I missed out on an opportunity to ask the CS, because we were talking about bloggers and people who've been hurt. At the time of his coming to office, there was a very serious case of 2 Indian nationals who used to work in the communications team of President William Ruto, who were brutally murdered, just like...
So, Majority Leader, let me use my limited powers given to me under Standing Order number 1 to allow you to ask that question, and then you can pick one for this particular question.
Another privilege of being leader of majority. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, if the minister finds it well within his means to give perhaps a response to this, if not, he can file a response later to the House, Mr. Speaker, is a matter of these 2 bloggers of Indian descent that worked in the presidential communications team of then candidate, but now President William Ruto, who were abducted and murdered. I know there had been investigations, but up to date, I have never heard if anyone has been taken to court on that particular matter. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it will be important for the minister to brief the House, because this is something that caused great agony to the young families of these 2 gentlemen that worked with us in the communication team. On this particular issue of Sondu, Mr. Speaker, I want to first appreciate the Minister for the steps that he took at the height of that very difficult time and intervened during that season when there were clashes in Sondu. I just wish to request him, Mr. Speaker, if he can confirm to this House whether there are plans to make that GSU camp that he has referred to be in existence on a permanent basis, given that this is an area of high potential threat every time there are either political disagreements or otherwise, Mr. Speaker, because if we can have that GSU camp in permanently there, then it will deter people, Mr. Speaker, who are known to commit either acts of violence or other even acts of theft, because apart from clashes, Mr. Speaker, that are of a political nature, within the same vicinity, there are challenges also of cattle rustling, Mr. Speaker, on the boundaries of Kericho and Kisumu, and therefore it will serve us well in providing calm and peace in that region if this GSU camp can be permanently located in that particular location. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is to request the Cabinet Secretary to now go the full hog. Apart from restoring calm militarily, like has been done by use of police, there's need to pacify the area by engaging elders and local leaders, which is a promise he had made to us when he visited that particular time, because one of the issues I know for a fact that continues to cause problems is a market that was built by the county government of Kericho, but up to date, they are not able to either allocate traders to use that particular market or collect cess from that particular market, yet these are resources that they use, and therefore the people on the Kericho side continue to feel hard done, that they invested, that the county government put up a market, which unfortunately they are not able to collect rates from, which is something that causes animosity. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister if there are plans to now move this conversation on peace beyond just police intervention and get it to the level of community integration now, so that you have either elders together with leaders so that we can commit. I am aware that at least at the county government level, something is being done between, I think, the governor of Kericho and the governor of Kisumu. I saw a press release last week, but we still feel there is need for a deeper understanding and a well-organized interaction between the two communities so that we can bury this challenge for once and for all. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for indulging me.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the majority leader has raised two issues in one, and I think he has used the privilege of office to get away and receive the kind of orders and directives he has received under Standing Order 1. I would like to respond as follows. First is the issue of whether or not we have made headway with regard to the Indian nationals who disappeared and are believed to have been murdered just before elections. We have made some progress, but because this is a legal process matter, I request if that question could be conveyed to us in writing so that we get accurate information which is up to date. But from where I sit, I know some progress has been made. We may not have nailed the suspects, but we'll be more than happy to provide the status update if a request is made in writing from the Senate, Majority Leader. On the second issue, Right Honorable Speaker, sir, at the time when I visited Sondu at the height of the episode in June, July last year, it is true the political leaders from both Kericho and Kisumu had requested to meet with us. We were not very keen at that time, which is one of the occupational hazards I suffer these days. That even my very best friends, sometimes I am forced to avoid them at least for a while, especially where where, for example, an active security matter is pointing to the direction of either their friends, supporters, etc. And so the majority, I avoided my good friend, the majority leader, whom I believe is doing a great job in profiling the position of the leadership of the Senate in this House. And I'm sure you'll do much better than us who are trying to figure out what this office was all about at the beginning. However, Honorable Speaker, so we avoided political engagement with political actors at that time because evidence was leading us to stay neutral. But I am happy to report to you, Majority Leader, through the Speaker, that we are in a good place now, and I want now to honor the promise that I did. And I will take the initiative to bring the teams together from your Kericho side and Kisumu side. Mr. Speaker, the House may want to know, the Sondu matter is not as complicated as some of the other issues we are handling. These are brothers and sisters and neighbors who understand each other. So with regard to the question of meeting political leaders for permanent solution, we should be beginning that as soon as possible. And finally, Honorable Speaker, the request or the suggestion from the Leader of Majority about the GSU camp, he had already approached me informally outside the House, and even my senior senator for Kisumu had also requested the same as a sign of ensuring that there is stability in the area. We will make that camp at Sondu permanent, and we will increase its strength because we realized that's a matter where presence of law enforcement can 99% resolve the matter.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In relation to the same matter, Mr. Speaker, I remember one time it was on this floor, and at that moment it was a blame of a stolen motorbike. Then it has graduated to other factors. I would like to ask the CS, while looking for a permanent solution, have you dealt with the issue of boundaries? Because, Mr. Speaker, we just did a law here which has gone to the National Assembly. What is it going to do in terms of the boundaries of the counties that have been a dispute, and it be one of the factors, there being a market build which by one county, but they cannot collect, any sales or anything out of a dispute, meaning there is still a dispute up to now. What are you doing about disputed boundaries which cause a similar problem and is likely to cause similar problem in other parts of the country, like in the case of Makueni and Taita Taveta? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. It is true, about 27 counties in Kenya are having border-related issues, a county and the other. And this is not a matter that has started today. It's a matter that has been there for decades, many decades, as long as Kenya has been established in the manner in which it has been established. It is also true that border issues of neighboring communities is a world over phenomenon. It's not new to Kenya. Our worry, though, as security managers, is the increasing approach of politicization, ethnicization, and criminalization of border-related disputes. That is where we have an issue. The politicization, ethnicization, and criminalization of border disputes, where influencers, whether political influencers or other influencers, want to take advantage of the differing opinion on where beacons and borderlines lay among neighbors to bring in crime, to bring in politics and to divide the people of Kenya. We have made it clear in the national security sector that we are not going to allow criminals and characters who want to bring violence, crime, negative ethnicity, and destructive politics in a very honest discussion among neighbors as to where borderlines lie. And one may ask, Mr. Speaker, then if politics, ethnicity, and the rest are removed from borders, then why should we have borders? Borders are still relevant for commercial reasons. For example, the majority leader, who is the senator for Kericho, and the senator for Kisumu, that discussion they're having around Sondu as some revenue, commercial-related matters. The same with the distinguished senator for Makueni and their neighbors in Taita Taveta. So we have no problem neighbors canvassing boundary disputes so that they can deal with commercial and other issues that are innocent. What we will not allow: violence, incitement, negative and destructive ethnicity. And therefore, going forward, we have said all these, because I was asked what plans we have, all these 27 almost counties where there is that discussion among neighboring communities, we are going to facilitate, as security managers, facilitate communities to discuss and resolve that issue. Minus crime. And the first thing we are demanding is that there should be no crime, incitement, or ethnic, the perpetuation of ethnic anger as a way of canvassing border disputes. As soon as any counties that are affected remove crime and negative politics and ethnic profiling and incitement from the discussions, we'll move in, and I'm sure we will find a lasting solution so that the commercial and other issues that are relevant continue unhindered, including what the Senator for Kericho has said, a market and ethnic profiling and incitement from the discussions will move in, and I'm sure we will find a lasting solution so that the commercial and other issues that are relevant continue unhindered, including what the Senator for Kericho has said, a market like that should be used to help generate the wealth of the people of Kenya, whether they're in the Kericho side or in the Kisumu side, they are the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate Deputy Speaker Emeritus for the wonderful job he's doing. I think he's the best CS, and he knows what he's doing, unlike others. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you need to protect me, Mr. Speaker. I don't know why the House is excited. But let me move quickly to my supplementary question.
You'll be protected as long as you start protecting yourself.
But Proceed. Mr. Speaker, we are also secure because the Interior Minister is here. Number quick one, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to do follow-up on the issue of also Kisumu and Nandi and Kakamega and Nandi. We have had issues in the past. What is, because, Mr. Speaker, what triggers these ethnic and border clashes sometimes is something that is beyond the hardware of the security sector. It could involve the issue of land historical injustice, among others. What is the CS doing to work closely with other agencies like National Land Commission, National Cohesion and Integration Commission, among other agencies, Mr. Speaker, to ensure these issues that trigger border clashes along the borders across the country are permanently resolved so that it doesn't need to go with the hardware or software of the securing the sector, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Honorable Sears.
Mr. Mr. Speaker, I'm discovering I'm former many things, because sometimes former Deputy Speaker, former Senate Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by the distinguished Senator for Nandi is true. What we've been doing in the past, and which we are now correcting, is that we've been addressing border disputes in a piecemeal and a silo way. For example, as we are aware, the IEBC, for example, has a role in constituency and ward boundaries. As we are aware also, the Constitution of Kenya provides in Article 188 that boundaries between counties will be determined by a boundaries commission, which, in my interpretation, is not the IBC. I know at least one case which I brought earlier on in my earlier life as a legal practitioner, challenging that issue. And it was around electoral disputes, 2 counties involved. And the court did say that the IBC deals only with electoral and ward boundaries. But inter-county boundaries is the role of the commission envisaged in Article 188, which is not the IEBC. And I know Senator Emeritus Mutula Kilonzo Jr. of Makueni did bring a bill at some point to have this commission established. I don't know how that matter has progressed. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, going forward, we want to make sure that we deal with boundary disputes comprehensively. And since boundaries are emotive, they can lead to a breach of public order, we have determined through our teams, the county security teams across the country, and us in Nairobi, we're going to address each of the cases involved in a multi-agency manner, security-led because of the sensitivity issues, but also bringing on board all other actors, the National Land Commission, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, and other actors, including IBC, but led by our security formations and security management to ensure that we comprehensively deal with those issues. Let me submit as follows as I finish on this matter, Mr. Speaker. If we removed incitement to violence and unnecessarily ethnicizing and politicizing these issues, we will resolve all the 28 inter-county boundaries in this country in a very short period of time. So we will be moving in that direction, and I could be able perhaps to be put to task after 3 months to brief the House and the country where we have started on that program. I submit.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to raise an intervention along the line of operations where there is conflict. It could be a policy issue or it could be a training issue. Mr. Speaker, I totally agree with operations that are carried in our pastoral areas because it's a matter of concern. But my worry is the manner in which those operations are carried out. For example, 2 weeks ago, there was operation in Isiolo County, in Garmara area and Kulamawe area. Mr. Speaker, those security agencies are destroying properties, especially semi-permanent houses. Women are beaten up, kids are beaten up, and I think, Mr. Speaker, I would request the CS, if there is any way that we can deal with those issues, because those security agencies, they are even taking away animals of innocent people, Mr. Speaker. So CS.
To allow the Honorable CS to respond to 3 questions. And therefore, we'll terminate interventions on question number 001 there and proceed to question number 002 by the Honorable Senator for Tharaka Nithi, Senator Mwenda Gataya Mofire. You may proceed to ask your question.
I would also request to know from the CIS Interior what specific measures has the ministry also undertaken to fast-track the establishment of offices for all government institutions, including the National Treasury Office within the sub-county. Chakariga. C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on the construction of a division police headquarters as well as required police stations in the sub-county? D, what other specific measures has the government taken to enhance access to national government services by residents of the said sub-county, which is Chakariga? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead, Mr. CS.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. In response to the question and statement sought by the Senator for Tharaka Nithi County, I state as follows. Chakariga Sub-County was established and carved out from Tharaka South Sub-County in 2022. It was gazetted in 2022, and a deputy county commissioner was posted at that time to take charge of the sub-county. The sub-county at the moment is functional and operational, but there are some staff who are yet to be posted, and we are working with other ministries who have not posted their, who have not deployed staff to do so in the soonest time possible. And therefore, one of the things that I want to inform the House also at this juncture is that there is need for us to improve the infrastructure so that we can host the pending officers, public officers who are yet to be posted, who are yet to be deployed. We have not had adequate funds, but we have made arrangements in the 2023-2024 financial year to avail funds to expand the infrastructure offices of the sub-county so that the pending officers who have not been posted or deployed are deployed. Honorable Speaker, sir, at the moment, other than the Deputy County Commissioner, the TSC have already posted an officer, so from Nairobi. We in the Ministry of Interior have also posted recently a national registration or the registrar of persons for the sub-county. Also, other members of the sub-county security committee, including the sub-county police commander, the intelligence head, as well as the DCI head, have also been posted. So the sub-county is operational, but there are departments of the national government that are yet to post. We are working with them to deploy, but also on our part as the Ministry of Interior, we have factored in the 2023-2024 budget monies to build or enlarge the infrastructure to provide office space, even as we do so for about 16 other sub-county headquarters that are in a similar situation as Chakariga at the moment. So service delivery is ongoing. Where certain state departments are yet to post or deploy officers, the officers from the mother sub-county, which is Tharaka South, continue to serve the new sub-county. And that is the case all over the country. The new sub-counties have a gradual separation with their mother sub-counties, and we will do whatever it takes to expedite that process. Before I sit down, Right Honorable Speaker, it is good manners as a public officer to declare that this question is about a sub-county from a county where I come from, and it is good manners to say so. But because I have an obligation before the House, that is the position on this matter.
Thank you, CS. Senator Mofai, do you have a supplementary question?
Honorable Speaker, I only want to agree with the CS Interior that what he has stated is true. We have seen some senior officers being transferred to Chakaria. We have the TSC, we have the National Registration Officer who is doing very well. And we trust that what he has just said is going to be realized in the next budget, and the Chakaria is going to be operational. I sincerely thank him for that response.
I will allow supplementary questions related to the original question. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Cabinet Secretary, for that answer. My supplementary question is...
What is your point of order, Senator Kisang? Proceed.
My supplementary question is in relation to the new sub-counties which have recently been gazetted by the Cabinet Secretary. Maybe the Cabinet Secretary can tell the House the status of those new sub-counties. When are you posting the deputy county commissioners, and have you made arrangements for their settlement and inauguration of those sub-counties? The case in point is Hamisi sub-county in Vihiga County, which you recently gazetted. So maybe you can tell us about that.
Mr. CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. All the sub-counties that were gazetted in March, actually in February, 14th of February, will be operationalized in the coming financial year 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, we encourage senators to liaise with the members of the National Assembly from their counties to prioritize from the CDF the building of infrastructure for DCCs, because that expedites the operationalization process. We have some money, but it's not enough to serve all the needs that we have because of the fiscal space of the country and of the budget. Where members of the National Assembly have invested and contributed to the what already we have to complete the infrastructure projects for offices and residencies for our DCCs. We'll be more than happy to operationalize that even as we look for money for the offices of the other sub-counties. I want to assure this distinguished senator for Vihiga County that Hamisi sub-county will be operationalized, and we will deploy the deputy county commissioner and all departmental heads at the sub-county level within the financial year starting 1st of July 2024.
Thank you. Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, actually my question was similar to what Osotsi was asking, because we have a new sub-county called Keria Valley sub-county, and because of the security situation along Keria Valley, we expect that the CS to have by now sent that Deputy County Commissioner, the MP Marakwet East, Honorable Kankoko Bowen, put up Assistant County Commissioner's office near Chesongoj, center or town, And we had proposed that the DCC could start from there as it gives priority to allocate more resources from July to do a proper Deputy County Commissioner's office, Honorable Speaker. And secondly, Honorable Speaker, in the same line, maybe the CS needs to tell us when is he going to operationalize the other units, especially locations and sub-locations that were cassetted 2017 by the late CS Ngaizeri before the elections of 2017. And the last one, Honorable Speaker, is we had requested, it was only two,
Senator Kisang, you only allowed one supplementary question.
Oh, then that's okay.
You've
Then finally, just to congratulate the CS, he's doing a very good job. Thank you very much, Waziri. I know also how you assisted me to be elected as a senator. You've done a good job.
CS, you can answer the question.
I hope that doesn't conflict. Honorable Speaker, sir, with regard to the supplementary question or statement of the distinguished senator for Elgeyo Marakwet County, I want to confirm that because of the security situation in North Rift and particularly Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo County, the two sub-counties that are critical to the securing that area, namely Kerio Valley sub-county and Koloa sub-county in Tiati in Baringo County, will be operationalized within the next 30 days.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe this is not going to be another ambush to the CS. But my question is in relation to a matter that the CS knows very well, the matter of the Tharaka-Thagishu sub-county. I say he knows it very well because, Mr. Speaker, the CS was part and parcel of the push to get that sub-county, and it has been operationalized. It has been given a sub-county code. But, Mr. Speaker, the people of Tharaka-Thagishu continue to suffer as though they don't have a sub-county. I say this because in the last recruitment for KDF, they were denied an opportunity to carry out their own recruitment in their own sub-county, even after they have been issued with a sub-county code. And they were forced to move to Mumoni Ward to compete for positions in Mumoni Ward. We tried to raise this matter with the authorities. We were not successful. I am happy, and the people of Tharaka are lucky, that the person who actually pushed the creation of that sub-county is here to respond to that question and give them the assurance that in the coming recruitments, then the people of Tharaka-Thagishu will exercise the right of recruitment on account of their own sub-county code. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. CS.
CS, my good neighbor at home, Senator Wambua, is correct. This time he hasn't ambushed me. The only small clarification I want to make again as part of clarifying for ethical reasons. You know, he has said I was part of the people who pushed for this sub-county, and he has forgotten to clarify I did so before I became a cabinet secretary, when I was a politician in active politics. I say so because, again, generally, that's where I come from. And I know, of course, it was a deserving case. And we and Senator Wambua were very critical as senators from the two counties, trying to make sure that that area is given an additional sub-county And I must thank Senator Wambua for the support he gave towards that process as well. At the moment, I'm not allowed to push for anything. I'm allowed to serve Kenya and push Kenya forward as a whole. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true, just like many sub-counties which have been established, it takes time before all the agencies and departments realize and actualize the need for the autonomy of each sub-county and grant them the fair allocation of their resources, including recruitment, into the public service. And therefore, it's unfortunate that the incident happened. I want to request the Senator for Kitui County and any other senator who are similarly situated in their counties, let us know when there is any agency that is recruiting, and you feel that there is a sub-county which is actually already established and has been given a code and is operational and has not been factored. Because some of the people who prepare those advertisements, some of those public officers, may not be up to date with the recent developments in terms of the creation of new units. Sometimes it's not their fault. And please, let's work together and make sure that we don't have a repeat of that. And I want to assure the Senator for Kitui County, the people of Kitui, and particularly the sub-county of Tharaka Tagishu, that all recruitment for all agencies and ministries and departments or in the public service will factor in this sub-county because it is operational and it's an autonomous sub-county, which should be treated as such. The President did visit that sub-county sometimes last year, I think 13th of July or thereabouts, last year, 2023. And there is a presidential directive which we are implementing again, we hope we'll implement in the 2023-2024 budget, where we are directed to provide, construct the sub-county offices and a resident for the DCC and provide a vehicle for the DCC and other members of the sub-county security committee. I submit.
Thank you, Senator Alexander Mundingi.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Swali langu ni kwa ujumla. Sijui kama utaniruhusu imbaye upande ya security niweze kuuliza, lakini upande ya security, Bwana Spika.
Senator Mundingi, swali lazima ihusiane na ile swali ambayo ilikuwa imeulizwa na Senator Mofaya. Pengine tutakupatia nafasi tukimaliza kuuliza maswali zote. Si saa hizi.
Meru, ungeniruhusu tu dakika moja niweze kuuliza swali langu, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, wakati huu juu ya ulinzi, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inafanya kazi mzuri na pia Bwana Profesa unafanya kazi mzuri, lakini wakati huu mvua inanyesha sana, tungetaka amani, na tumeona viongozi wengi ambaye wale wanaenda kusaidia watu kule vijijini, wengine kama wale walienda Mkuru kwa Jenga na wengine kwa Ruven, wakisema watu wasitoke pahali wamejenga kwa mto, na tunajua wakijenga hapo watashukuru maji. Na kwa sababu ya kuangalia maslahi ya hao watu na kuuliza, kwa sababu ni mchapakazi, kutoka siku hiyo mpaka leo umesukua jukumu gani ya watu kama wao walichosea watu wasiame, ndio tujue aidha wawekwe ndani au mpelekwe kotini, ndio kitu kama hiyo isikuje kutokea tena. Na tunajua hata walitamka matamuzi mabaya wa kusema wengine watu wanalala. Umesukua hatua gani, ama kama unaanza saa hii utakuwa mmaliza wakati gani ndio watu wawekwe ndani, ndio tuwe na amani katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza? Asante, Bwana Spika.
Waziri, kama ungependa kujibu unaweza jibu. Kama unaona si swali ambayo inahusiana na...
It's an ambush, Mr. Speaker, but you know now I am subject to the authority of your directive. Generally, let me submit as follows in response to the matter raised by the distinguished senator for Embu County. We want to encourage the people of Kenya to see the ongoing environmental crisis for what it is and nothing else. Just like all other matters, it's a national crisis. Kenya is paying a huge price for the environmental crisis that we have nothing to do with. It is the pollution and the degradation of the environment, mainly by the big polluters of the world, that is responsible for the devastation we are doing. And today, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, our country, in our order of national security priorities, the effects of climate change is assuming a very, very crucial and important ranking in those priorities. The people we have lost in the last 1 month in this country are almost 80% of all the people we have lost to terrorism in the last 10 years. That is how serious the climate crisis is. And the rains are not over yet. And therefore, directly to what the Senator for Embu has said, we want to ask leaders, influencers, politicians, and all other people in positions of authority and influence to desist politicizing or even inciting the public, especially when security alerts and security orders have been issued. They are for the public safety. They are not for politics. They are not for other things. And we hope that this is the last time we are going to have people, our people being carried away by raging waters when they are sleeping at home. We have issued directives on recovery of all riparian rivers and other fragile ecosystems. Those are security directives. They are not requests. And any leader who tries to interfere with security operations, we will deal with them the same way we deal with other leaders who threaten our national security. As I have already said, this matter is costing us so much pain, so much death. It's now equivalent to what terrorism, banditry, and other serious crimes are doing to Kenya. The orders that are issued for public safety are mandatory. They are not political. They are not sectarian. They cannot be trivialized by leaders going to inside communities and telling them, stay here until I don't know what happens. Because in the process, you'll endanger the life of a family who will be carried away by the raging floods, and you'll be nowhere to answer when those families are crying. And therefore, I take you, and very soon, in the course of the day, the government will be announcing how we should respond for a long-term basis to confront the climate crisis before it destroys our country. We are already 20% of the GDP, and the resources we have produced have already expenditure to try and mitigate loss of life and property. I submit.
Thank you.
Secretary, to tell this House the criteria used by government to create sub-counties and what is the optimal number of sub-counties the country should have. Thank you.
Mr. CS.
That's a good question, like all the others. Right Honorable Speaker. It is important for the country to know through this House that the creation of administrative units is not a whimsical or discretionary activity. It is an activity that is guided by certain parameters. Some of them are constitutional obligations to ensure the people of Kenya access public services as close as possible to where they live. And therefore, one of the parameters that are important first is that the request, we make sure that the request must come from the communities. Number two, we expect that that request must be subjected to public participation as required by our constitution. Any request that doesn't have the support of adequate public participation at the local level, we do not even consider it. We return it back to where it has come from. Number three, of course, we look at other factors, including how easy is it for the affected people to be able to access critical services. And therefore, there are dynamics, there are parameters, and there are objective set of criteria that we use. It is not a whimsical, political, or temperamental activity where we wake up and say, we are creating this unit, we are not creating this unit. And I know on my table, I have on my table a number of deserving cases from very many parts of the country, including, I can see my brother here, the senator for Marsabit County, who is waiting for Eriret sub-county, and my officers here, you can see already they are aware. We have to create it because that is one of the most needed parts of this country where access to government services is extremely difficult. And Eriret, for your information, is 998 kilometers from where we are seated today.
Senator Andrew Mtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask our Cabinet Secretary for Interior a related question regarding Teso Central. The people of Teso are very grateful when Teso Central was created and headquartered at Amkura. But upon the division of subdivision of Teso South into 2 sub-counties, all the assets that were at Amkura were moved to the new offices of Teso South, and Teso Central was left without any facilities that would enable them to operate. Even the police don't have a patrol vehicle, they don't have, there's no stationery in the offices. Even the DC has nothing. The offices are just bare. So I don't know, Honorable CS, what plans do you have to make sure that Teso Central in Amkura, which the people of Busia are very grateful when the Ministry of Interior created, becomes fully functional? Because right now, people are not getting the services they deserve. That's my question, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Mr. CS.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. It is true what the distinguished senator for Busia County has said. The Teso area generally is one of the areas where additional administrative units have been already provided and will continue to provide more for the reasons which I stated earlier. It is also true that the creation of Teso Central created an asymmetry in terms of infrastructure between Teso South and now Teso Central. We are constrained for budget, but I also want also to inform the distinguished senator for Busia that we are also instructed and in a presidential directive to make sure we reallocate the available finances in our budget in the 2023-2024 financial year to get resources to provide infrastructure so that all the sub-counties have symmetrical infrastructural facilities. And even at lower level, we have operationalized, I think, 2 or 3 divisions. I've been in Teso myself once. I'm going back there next month because we have outstanding work at the divisional level. So I want to ask the distinguished senator of Busia County to be a little patient, and perhaps in the new financial year, we see how we can work together, and hopefully the CDF, which is relevant there, could support us. But either way, we have to create the infrastructural symmetry that is required to make sure that the Teso South Sub-County, Teso North Sub-County, and Teso Central Sub-County have adequate infrastructure to serve the local communities to be able to access government services as is envisaged under our Constitution. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Senator Karongo Thango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to the CS, whom before we started running for this seat, we used to look up to him. You know, we were learning from him, and even now, when he is now in that position, he's still our role model. Mr. Speaker, I'm going direct to the question. We all agree as a Senate that police need to be facilitated to execute their mandate. In line with that, out of 15 police divisions in Kiambu County, 5 do not have police vehicles. That is Githongorio CPD, Githurayo CPD, Kiambao CPD, Roiro CPD, and Deya OCPD. They do not have police vehicles. Out of 59 police stations in Kiambu County, 35 do not have police vehicles. My question is to the good CS, when are you likely to facilitate these police officers, and especially at this time when we are fighting floods and insecurity in some areas in Kiambu County? Thank you.
Mr. CS.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. I think this request or the ask from the distinguished senator for Kiambu County is legitimate. At the moment, Right Honorable Speaker, out of the 1,300 police stations we have in Kenya, about 700 do not have vehicles. That is nearly, actually more than half of the police stations of our country. A number of police divisions are also they do not have facilities. And for the last 1 year, we have been engaged as a ministry with the National Treasury so that we can renew and expand the leasing program, which had provided us with space to be able to equip and provide vehicles for our law enforcement officials. Because of the fiscal situation that the country has been going through in the last 2 years, we've been negotiating with Treasury because our demand for police, Ngao, and all the players, including DCI, was actually we were asking for 4,000 vehicles through the leasing program. But we've been brought to reality that the economy cannot carry that request. And I think last month, the last 1 month, 2 weeks, we are almost agreeing for an allocation of 1,600 vehicles for all our agencies in the Interior Ministry, which we shall allocate to the various agencies prudently and on a need basis, giving priority to the police because they are on the front line of law enforcement and making sure that we have public safety. And therefore, I want to assure the distinguished senator for Kiambu County, who almost got me worried when he said they used to look up to us. And then I almost asked what happened. And then he acquitted himself by saying that we still do. And I still remain available to support a brilliant young leadership that I see in both houses of parliament. And as I said this, and it's a sincere statement, I think the Senate is, as it should, doing even better than the previous houses, and that's what it should. I have always told the leader of the majority that he's likely consequentially to be the greatest majority leader until he is dethroned by another majority leader who will succeed him later. So he has the title now as the greatest majority leader of the Senate. Having said so, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to assure the Senator for Kiambu we should remain in touch so that when we finalize the contracting of the new leasing equipment, we will give priority to the needs of Kiambu. We may not give you everything, but definitely we will give you more equipment, more vehicles for Kiambu, as we also give to the rest of the country.
Thank you, CS, and it's good to know that you've elevated the majority leader to a goat. Yeah. Senator Joseph Kithuku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity and congratulate Waziri for the good job that he is doing. Honorable Speaker, Lamu has been in the limelight for a very long time for the obvious bad reasons. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I want to congratulate the Honorable Waziri because of the good job that he has done to Lamu. Lamu is now a very peaceful county, and Waziri, you have done a very good job. And since 2014, Waziri, we have had a lot of security problems, but as at now, Waziri, things are doing very well. Now, I wanted to ask Waziri two questions.
Senator of Lamu, you can only ask one question.
That is okay. I stand guided, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have a sub-county in Lamu that was gazetted a while ago. That is Lamu West sub-county that is supposed to be constructed at Mpeketoni, being its headquarter, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to know from Waziri, what is the government preparing, or what is the government intending to do to see to it that that sub-county headquarter is constructed. Finally, in relation to that, Honorable Speaker, there are some police stations that were constructed by the current MP through the national government, NCDF, but it is still understaffed. There is no staff as we speak. So what is the minister planning to do to see to it that those police stations are staffed? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I see a lot of interest in this question, and I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time to take the other two questions that are remaining. So I would want to ask senators to be very brief, and probably we'll take 3 questions so that the CS can answer 3 questions at the same time, so that we can proceed much faster. Senator Steve Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have one supplementary question to the Cabinet Secretary, and my question is, can the Cabinet Secretary update the House on the timelines for gazetting the next batch of the new administrative units that have met the threshold for upgrade, particularly those that are facing security challenges? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Oburu Oginga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Waziri is in very familiar territory, having been the Deputy Speaker here. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to ask him about Bondo Sub-County, where there was a gazettement of Usigu division as a sub-county, and it has not been operationalized. Can we know when it will be operationalized, Mr. Speaker, sir? And I don't know, Mr. Speaker, just allow me to mention something on security. Mr. Speaker, there's a market in Bondo constituency called Ndira, which is just opposite Raila Odinga's home. And there is a lot of insecurity, Mr. Speaker. The people are being beaten there, the shops, there are some boys marauding, denying people of their telephones, and people are crying, Mr. Speaker, because
and reports are made to police. And there's a woman who even caught some people on camera, and those people were in police uniforms, Mr. Speaker, and there is nothing which is no action is being taken at all. The market is called Ndera Market, Mr. Speaker. I hope the minister, maybe if he doesn't know anything about it, he could investigate and let us know. But if he knows anything about it, can we know how the situation of security there? Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bwana CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you with regard to the statement raised by the distinguished senator for Lamu County. Just as he has thanked us, me and my colleagues in the ministry, we are also very grateful to the political leadership of Lamu County. We had started with a little bit of turbulence, and we had a very unpleasant engagement at the beginning with the political leaders of Lamu County, the governor of Lamu County, the senator of Lamu County, the woman representative, and the MPs of Lamu County. We had a very turbulent, unpleasant encounter, which, as I said earlier on, Mr. Speaker, comes with this territory. National security it's like that. National security and politics are not 100% symmetrical. There are rough patches along the way. And I can see others here, some of them looking at me, whom we have had some moments. And later on, those moments have gone, and we have the good moments. So I am very grateful to the political leaders of Lamu County and the current normalcy that we continue to engage, although we are still on high alert. Much of it has been contributed by the maturity, sobriety, and the leadership of Lamu County. We're very grateful. Many of our problems, national security problems, are caused by us. We sometimes take advantage of insecurity. We rope in politics, we rope in religion, we rope in other things, and we complicate a problem which would have been resolved easily. So I'm very grateful for Lamu and many other counties which had issues, and now we are managing them together with their leaders. Honorable Speaker, the government will provide money during the financial year 2023-2024 to start the construction of the offices for the Deputy County Commissioner for Lamu West at Mpeketoni. Honorable Speaker, with regard to staffing of police stations, police posts, and patrol bases within Lamu, I have already asked the Inspector General of the National Police Service to gazette, because for police stations is the IGU gazettes, those facilities after he sends the team to inspect them, so that to make sure they have the basic amenities like the armory and other critical facilities like a cell for men, a cell for women, a cell for children, which now is standard in all our police facilities. As soon as the IG is satisfied with the structural integrity of that space, he will gazette and we will deploy. And we have enough officers in this country, 106,000 police officers for a population of slightly above 50 million. We have enough officers to post to Lamu and to all the other parts of the country that are needed. Right, Honorable Speaker, I've also been asked by the distinguished senator for Samburu County, which is one of the counties that has really experienced very painful moments because of criminal activities and organized crime. I want to respond by saying that yes, there is the process of establishing an additional sub-county and other administrative units in that county is underway. I already engaged the leaders and we agreed on what they needed to do in consultation and of course with the deputy county commissioners and the county commissioner in Samburu, so that the public participation process is impeachable. Once we conclude and gazette, we are not taken to courts over headquarters, over this and that, and the other issues. In any case, the Constitution demands that public participation must be carried out by any public official or any institution that is making a decision. So we will conclude that process. I am hopeful, possibly before the end of the year, we will have another cohort. Again, broadly for the country, not just for Samburu County, because our obligation as a nation is to carry everybody along. Finally, my senior, the senator for Siaya County, I think Senator Oburu Odinga, has raised two issues. The first one, he has asked about Usigu County, which is supposed to create an additional sub-county within Bondo, the larger Bondo sub-county, and which, by the way, Bondo is one of the largest sub-counties we have in the country in terms of population, and very deserving case. I had scheduled to go and operationalize Usigu sub-county last month when I was doing countrywide tours of various counties for security duties. But I think the member of parliament was away and there was a logistical issue, and I said it's good for all the parties to consult and we will reschedule a date for the operationalization of Usigu anytime that all the parties are ready. You know, normally operationalization of a sub-county is a public event. We like involving all stakeholders, unlike our other security operational tours, which we take without telling anybody. And we've been bashed by very many of our friends who say, how can you come to here or there without telling me? And over time, I think they have agreed with us. Sometimes when it's an operational trip, we are not in a position, first of all, to tell anybody, leave alone the elected leader, even for our own safety. And number two, it is not possible, some of the things we do, to have the public with us. But whenever we have an event as security managers that is a community event like operationalizing a sub-county, we make sure we inform everyone and members of the public come so that we are all together. So the distinguished Senator for Siaya, we will do that for Usigu in the shortest time possible. We are ready. And the budget has already been aligned to reflect that. Finally, this DIRA issue, I think I have seen one of the reports from my daily security briefs. Every morning we have daily briefs and threat assessment. And I think that general area and also parts of Vihiga and the boundary between Kakamega and Siaya again, there's a lot of criminal groups who are perpetuating violent crime, stock theft, in a most peculiar manner, because there's still one cow, but so many, you know, if you add the cows stolen in that area, within a week, you find that actually it's like 150. But each cow was stolen separately. So, and we're asking ourselves, what is the difference between this and what is happening in North Rift? Because in the North Rift, there will be one raid of 100 cows. Here, it is many raids, but in installments, but the total is the same. So we are taking action, Senator Oburu, and the issue of youths who are organized to commit crime, either by themselves or by other people, is of concern to us, because if we don't tame that tide, many countries who have gone that route have found it impossible to reverse it. And even among political leaders, please, those of us who are festering groups of people who are using violence to perpetuate whatever outcomes, you are endangering our national security. Stop it. It will be very brutal. And I want to say this, you've seen last week, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, you've seen last week what happened in Kisii. And this goes across the board. Politicians from the Kenya Kwanza group, politicians from Azimio group, and it's localized there. And each people, you know, with young people there, terrorizing others, disrupting meetings, groupings like those, over a long time, if they fester for a long time, because we have many of those in Busia, in many, many places I don't have time to enumerate. They mutate, then they assume a life of their own. They even overturn their sponsors and become their own institutional arrangements. And that's how countries like Haiti found itself at certain parts of that country under the control of criminals. So we will be very harsh. And here again, there will be nothing political about it. If you are a political leader and you're on the government side and you have a gang of criminals terrorizing your opponents, we will come for you as we come for those boys. If you are on the opposition also, and you have a group of youngsters whom you have given money and drugs and alcohol to terrorize your opponents, even within the opposition, we'll also come for you, and you will not tell us, you will not invoke the usual sentiments that we are being fought because you're in the opposition. So I thought that is a good space as I answer my brother and elder, Senator Oburu, that we are worried about the increase of small pockets of organized groups of criminals inflicting violence on people, but also advancing other objectives, including political objectives. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Senators, I would want to propose that you keep your questions, keep your buttons the way it is. Let's take the remaining two questions from Senator of Turkana and Senator of Tana River. Once they're done with their question and their supplementary question, I will go back to the questions that you have, and I will allow supplementaries thereafter. Senator Turkana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to ask question number 039 to our hardworking CS. The question 1A, has the ministry undertaken an impact assessment of the curfew imposed in major towns and centers in Turkana County, particularly Lokicher, Nakabosan, Kekunyuk, Kalemorok, Kaputir, Kakongo, and Kainuk areas? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the extent to which the curfew has achieved its intended purpose? B, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the higher prevalence of crime during curfew hours compared to non-curfew hours, and clarify whether this is attributable to security personnel allowing unauthorized vehicles and individuals to move around during curfew hours? C, are there plans to lift the curfew in light of the negative impact it has on the livelihoods of the resident? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the timelines for the same? D, Mr. Speaker, What alternative measures has the ministry taken to effectively tackle insecurity in the region? And could the Cabinet Secretary also indicate any initiative by the government to strengthen community policing, which is a more sustainable approach? Thank you.
Mr. CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir, in relation to the statements sought by the distinguished senator for Turkana County, I state as follows, that, Mr. Speaker, major town centers in Turkana County, especially Turkana South, that is Kakong, Kainuk, Kaputir, and Lokicha, are currently under the curfew. We are reviewing that whether there may be need to isolate specific town centers that may not be contributing to the security challenge we have in that area and remove them from the renewal of the curfew orders. And that assessment has been going on for the last 2 months. There are indications that some of the town centers will be removed from the curfew orders, the same way we did with some of the urban centers that had been included in the curfew orders within Samburu County. However, Honorable Speaker, the curfew orders in Turkana County and other disturbed or other counties where it has been determined that the state of insecurity categorizes them as dangerous and disturbed, those orders will subsist. And we have no timelines. We will not say when those orders will expire. Those orders will expire when we are convinced that the current threat has been extinguished. Just for the avoidance of doubt, I have said the government will only consider on a case-by-case basis particular towns and urban centers, especially around the highway, the Lodwar, the Kitale, Kapenguria, Kainuk, Lokichar, Lodwar Highway. A few of those urban centers may be exempted, but only within the urban center so that we don't affect commercial activities, which should not be the case. However, the general area still remains volatile. We have made some advances in the past 1 year, especially with regard to highway robberies, but we are still experiencing challenges, and therefore the curfew orders will subsist. In particular, the area that is giving us a bit of challenge is the KWS area and the Turkana South Game Reserve. And some of the breaches of security that we continue to see sporadically are emanating from that space, and we are taking special security measures to secure the Turkana South Game Reserve and make it inaccessible to criminals. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, we do not agree that there is a surge of crime linked to the curfew orders. We have checked on all police stations or current books within Turkana East and Turkana South sub-counties, and the daily reports from national government administrative officers. And our conclusion is that there has been a drop on petty and major crimes in the towns under the curfew. Crime has not been eradicated, but there is an incident, a drop in incidents. Therefore, it is also the position of government that only authorized vehicles that are in the schedule to the curfew orders are allowed to operate beyond the curfew hours, because the curfew orders, there is an annexure of listed essential security providers who are exempted from the curfew. And if the distinguished senator for Turkana County has any information of any misconduct on any of our law enforcement officials who might be abusing the curfew orders to permit unauthorized movement of vehicle beyond the curfew hours, we will be happy to get that information even on a confidential basis. Right, Honorable Speaker, sir, apart from the ongoing operation, security operation, the government has taken additional measures to address insecurity issues within Turkana County. They include, but are not limited to, the following. First, we are encouraging communities to develop and foster a culture of peace. No amount of security hardware, no amount of hard enforcement can replace the sustainability that comes with community-generated peace-building activities. And therefore, we are encouraging that. We have already changed the security personnel in that general area, I think in the last 2 months. The last posting order, which I did for chairpersons of county security teams, which are normally county commissioners. You have seen the North Rift, we've done some redeployment. The same with county police commanders, the National Intelligence Service coordinators, as well as the DCI coordinators in those counties. We've done some personnel changes to encourage a mix of both the hard enforcement measures, but also peace-building measures, especially through Ngao officers. Number two, and by the way, these changes, we've already seen a bit of improvement after that last personnel deployment changes. Number two, Honorable Speaker, sensitizing the communities to embrace other forms of livelihoods, because a single livelihood approach to lives in the form of livestock is what has taken as the route where this problem has persisted. Thirdly, we are discouraging herders from settlements within the Turkana South Game Reserve, because this is where bandits are hiding, pretending to be herders, pretending to be looking for pasture, and the attacks that we've had on the Kitale, Kapenguria, Lokichar, Lodwar Highway. The hideout for these criminals, the planning of the attacks, and the retreat after the attack has always been in the Turkana South Game Reserve, which we want to clean up through a special security operation and make it inaccessible so that we can have durable peace and security in that area, and especially along that beautiful road that connects our country with our neighboring South Sudan nation. Next, we have continuously increasing the recruitment, training, and deployment of National Police Reservists. Next, we are also increasing the strength of regular and special forces within the security and law enforcement officials. We also are engaging in stakeholder engagement, and increasingly now, as we continue towards stabilizing the insecurity incidents, we want to bring in other stakeholders to support what the security agencies are doing, including civil society. We want to bring in religious organizations, political leaders, and so forth and so on. And once more, I am very proud to the political leadership of Turkana County and the political leadership of West Pokot County. Again, about a year ago, we had a very turbulent patch in terms of our relationship as security managers and themselves as elected leaders, but it's now healing because the issues that were dividing us have been addressed, and there is a lot of support that I'm getting from political leaders from West Pokot and from political leaders in Turkana County. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you, CS. Senator Turkana, do you have a supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank the CS for what he has submitted. It is true, the security officers in Kainuk, Turkana South and Turkana East are doing good work. But, Mr. Speaker, maybe I wanted to inform the CS that the officers at Turkana South who are securing the A1 road have a biggest challenge. When they want to face the bandits or the highway robbers, the highway robbers hide themselves in the bushes, which is the feeder roads. There are feeder roads from Kainuk to Loyapat. There are feeder roads from Wildlife to Kakongo. Those areas, even during the time of raids, Mr. Speaker, sir, the security personnel get it hard to be in those areas, to patrol or get those bandits. So, Mr. CS, I request, with humble request, so you collaborate with the CS for infrastructure so that those feeder roads will be maintained and made sure it is passable. Because even recently, there was a raid and the KDF used the drones. They saw the bandits, but there was no way they can access to the bandits and counter them. So the presence of access roads are very important, Bwana CS. Finally, the question that I wanted to, a supplementary question that I wanted to ask you, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for extending, providing, bringing closer services closer to the farthest counties of this nation. Example, Marsabit. I was in Inderet, and I saw people who are almost 4,000 without IDs. And I questioned myself, are these Kenyans? They said that we are Kenyans. So, and then they also recognize the president and your office for adding them the additional sub-county. Secondly, you also consider Turkana County, especially areas that are bordering external Uganda, Southern Sudan, and Ethiopia. You added the new sub-units, sub-counties, that is Lokichogio, Lokiriama, Aro, and Suguta. So the only way that we have been waiting that you promised, and I know your promise will be implemented immediately. We are set with the infrastructure to accommodate the DCC. So the Suguta sub-county and the Aro sub-county, I would like you maybe to clear, when are you coming to operationalize those sub-counties? Thank you.
Senator Lomanen, you have given information to the CS, and you've appreciated him. I did not hear a question in your long summary. It's okay. I think the only question the CS would answer is when would you operationalize the sub-counties?
Yes.
And let's keep it brief, Bwana CS, so that we can move to the next question.
Okay. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll be brief, but also the distinguished senator for Turkana has asked about security roads in the area between Kakong, KWS, and Kainuk. And I want to assure him, between the local member of parliament and because of CDF, the CS for transport and roads, and ourselves, it is on our priority list to have those security roads maintained as soon as the rains subside. Secondly and lastly is on the sub-counties. Out of the 4 sub-counties that had been gazetted but were not operational, I have already presided over the operationalization of Lokichogio. However, 3 more remain, and which are Aro, Mr. Speaker, there is a disagreement at the community level involving even the elected leaders. The members of parliament, the governor, they have not, the community is not giving us a concurrence on where the headquarters will be. And those are some of the things that delay. And because it's a facility to serve the public, we are not in a hurry either to take sides or take a decision contrary to where the majority of the people want it to be, as opposed to individual leaders. So we are waiting for the conclusion of public participation and engagement for Aro, and immediately that matter is resolved, we will operationalize it. As the distinguished senator for Turkana has said, the word of the minister is his bond. But also above the promise of the minister is also under presidential directive. So there is a double weight on me. First of all, my own weight, and then some other bigger weight, which is pushing me to make sure as soon as possible the people of Turkana and all the other counties that are similarly situated have operational units. Then finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have 2 other sub-counties in that county. One is Lokiriama. The problem why we have delayed a little bit with Lokiriama is the infrastructure, at least to house the DCC and a few heads of department. We are working on it. And finally, Suguta. Suguta is ready. Suguta is ready. As soon as the rains subside, I'd actually scheduled to do it, but the rains began. The rainy season commenced before I could actualize that. So as soon as the floods and the rains, the current rains subside, we'll operationalize Suguta. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Question number 43 by Senator of Tana River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, I rise to ask question number 43. Are there plans to re-establish the Wema General Service Unit GSU camp in Tana River County, which was closed after it was marooned by floods during the heavy rains experienced across the country in December 2023? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the timelines for the same? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS.
Mr. Speaker, this is where I'll take the shortest time possible because the answer, even the statement, is short. It is true what the distinguished senator for Tana River County has said, namely that we were compelled to relocate the Wema GSU camp during the El Nino rains at the end of last year because the camp was marooned and flooded. And after that, what we've done is to make sure that between the December floods and the current floods, we've been trying to see whether it is feasible to return that camp there, because as we had anticipated, Honorable Senator, through the Speaker, even if we had returned that camp in the same site after the El Nino floods, it would be now underwater still. So it is good we had the 2 seasons just to figure out whether what happened in December was temporary or is likely to be repeated every other rainy season. We are of the view now that the location where this GSU camp was, it cannot be the place where it will be situated. And therefore, to answer the question by the distinguished Senator Danson Mungatana, I want to commit that the government will re-establish the Wema GSU camp, but in an alternative site, which has already been identified. And that site, that place, the site, the new site, is Kulesa, is somewhere in Kulesa village, Maziwa sublocation, Salama location, Tana Delta subcounty. That area has been identified by our security committee in Tana River in liaison with the community there. And please, once again, because we don't want to have push and pull on security measures, the elected leaders there, to whom I am very grateful, like I am to all the other leaders, I have received as the security minister utmost cooperation from the leaders of Tana River County. I urge them and implore them, in case there are any issues on the site that we have identified, let us know in good time. But as soon as the current rains subside, which should be in another 1 month or so, we shall return the GSU camp and put it in a new location and also increase the strength in terms of the number of officers we'll deploy there.
Senator Turkana, do you have, Senator Tanariva, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bwana Speaker, mimi ninamshukuru sana waziri wetu wa usalama kwa kazi anayofanya Kenya na pia haswa kwa kazi anayofanya Tana River. Bwana Speaker, makosa yaliyofanyika mara ya kwanza walipokuwa wanaweka ile kambi ya GSU, hawakuongea na wananchi pale. Walienda wakatafuta mahali watu wa security peke yao na wakaweka mahali. Lakini nashukuru kwa sababu sasa amesema ya kwamba wameongea na wananchi, na kweli Kulesa village iko juu, na wakiweka hapo hatutapata hasara ya kuzama tena kwa hiyo kambi ya GSU. Asante sana bwana waziri. Kitu ambacho umesahau ni kujibu sehemu ile yaliyouliza kwamba pengine ni lini ambayo unakisia tutaregesha ile kambi ya GSU, kwa sababu sehemu ile we waziri unajua haiko mbali sana na msitu wa Boni ambao uko na mushkil kila wakati. Kwa hivyo ungetupatia huo muda tungeshukuru. Swali langu la pili na la mwisho bwana Speaker, ni tena kuhusiana na usalama wa sehemu hiyo. Tunashukuru sana kwamba bwana Speaker, waziri alitupatia sub-county mpya, na hiyo sub-county inaitwa sub-county ya Tarasa. Na bwana Speaker, waziri aligazeti hiyo sub-county, lakini hakutupatia headquarters, hakugazeti headquarters. Na sisi tunasema namna hii, kweli kuna public participation inayofanyika, na pengine ulipata results ama ulipata majibu ya hiyo public participation. Lakini baadaye kulikuja petition ama maombi ya kugeuza hayo mazungumzo yaliyofanyika. Mimi nilikuwa nasema hivi bwana Speaker, kwa waziri, ya kwamba shida kubwa ni kwamba sehemu ambayo ilikuwa imetajwa kuna wasiwasi ya kwamba ingeingiwa na maji wakati mvua inakuwa nyingi. Kwa hivyo nilikuwa nasema badala ya sisi kuingia hasara
kama vile tuliingia hasara ya kambi ya GSU, badala ya serikali kuu kuingia hasara kama hiyo, ingekuwa bora, usifuate maneno yangu, usifuate maneno ya mheshimiwa mwingine ama viongozi wengine, lakini utume your own experts ama wanaitwaje, wataalam wako wenyewe, wende wakaangalie, je, ni sehemu gani ambayo ingefaa, haiingii maji. Na wakati huu bwana waziri ndio wakati mzuri, kwa sababu wakati huu mtu hawezi kukudanganya ati nenda ukanunue hii shamba na hii shamba inaingia maji. Wakati huu mtu hawezi kukudanganya pale ni pazuri, alafu uende ukaweke sub county headquarters iingie maji, tupate hasara, badala kwenda mbele tuende nyuma. Kwa hivyo swali langu la pili na la mwisho nikiwa nakaa, bwana waziri, ni lini utatuma wataalam waende wakaangalie mahali pazuri, kisha utagazeti lini ripoti hiyo ya wataalam? Asante bwana waziri.
Mr. CS.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kweli tulifanya makosa katika kuweka ama kuanzisha kambi yetu ya kikosi cha GSU katika sehemu ile ambayo baadaye ikapata kuwa ni sehemu ya kufurika. Na mimi nataka kama waziri niombe msamaha kwa niaba ya wote wenzangu, na pia vile vile niseme kwamba tumerekebisha hayo makosa, kwa sababu safari hii tumesema kwamba kabla tuanzishe kambi mpya lazima tuuzishe jamii, kwa sababu ile sehemu wale maafisa tumetuma hapa pale na ile kambi sio yetu, ni ya wananchi, ni ya manufaa ya wananchi wa pale. Kwa hivyo safari hii tumerekebisha makosa, na mimi kama nilivyosema naomba msamaha, kwa sababu safari ya kwanza hatukufanya mashauriano ya kutosha na umma na wananchi na viongozi wa pale. Jambo la pili na la mwisho, Mheshimiwa Spika, Senator wa Tana River Mheshimiwa Mgatana amezungumzia swala la kaunti ndogo ya Tarasa ambayo ilikuwa ya kwanza katika orodha ya zile kaunti ndogo 16 ambazo tulizitangaza tarehe 14 mwezi wa Februari. Na ilikuwa ya kwanza kwa sababu kati ya zile kaunti ndogo ambazo tulikuwa tunatangaza siku ile the most needed case ilikuwa na hitaji kuu, zote zilikuwa na hitaji kuu, lakini hiyo was a special case. That's why we started with Tarasa. Ni kweli vile vile hatukutangaza makao makuu ya kaunti ndogo, na ilikuwa makusudi, kwa sababu wakati tunatangaza eneo la utawala kama sub-county na kuweka katika gazeti rasmi ya serikali, tunatangaza makao makuu kama jamii ya pale imeshakubaliana through a participatory process, na hakuna there is no difference of opinion. At least the majority of the people have agreed and there is evidence. Because once you gazette, kisha weka katika gazeti rasmi la serikali makao makuu, inakuwa sheria. La pili, hungetaka serikali iwe inaingiliana na wananchi wakati wanaamua mambo yao. Ungetaka serikali iwachilie wananchi waamue, wakipata maamuzi ya walio wengi, sasa serikali inakuja kutekeleza matakwa ya wananchi. Hiyo ndio maana ya public participation. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka niseme mambo mawili. Ya kwanza, kambi mpya ya GSU ambayo sasa tumekubaliana tutaiondoa mahali iliko tuweke mahali palipo juu, tutaiweka katika chini ya siku 30 kutoka siku ya leo. Vile vile kwa sababu ile ni eneo hatari, kwa sababu liko katika pembeni pale, katika msitu wa Boni pale. Kwa hivyo tutafanya hivyo, na nimeshatoa amri kwa hao maafisa wangu wakuu wako hapa, afisa senior officers here, na hiyo kazi ya kutuba wataalam wasioegemea upande wowote kuangalia hali ilivyo sasa, kwa sababu maji yako katika zile sehemu ziko chini. Hiyo timu itatumwa ifikapo Ijumaa, na tutatarajia wapewe wiki moja ya kuleta ripoti, na hiyo ripoti ikikuja tutahuzisha pia, tutajulisha viongozi, alafu tutaweka katika gazeti rasmi ya serikali mahali ambapo tutaweka, sio hii hahitaji gazeti ya serikali, tutaanza kuweka kambi katika huo muda ambao nimesema wa siku 30. Kwa hivyo ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Nashukuru sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Asante. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, Bwana CS alikuwa anaenda vizuri, akaongelea kuhusu kambi ya GSU, alafu akawa anaongea kuhusu ripoti ya wataalam ambayo ilikuwa inahusika na suala la sub-county headquarters, lakini kisha akaja, nafikiri hakumalizia hapo vizuri. Manake hayo ni masuala mawili tofauti. Angeelezea ni lini atatuma wataalam ambao wataenda kuangalia sehemu ambayo sub-county headquarter itakuwa, ambayo ni tofauti na ile ya GSU camp amemaliza nayo. Ni ile sub-county ndio iko kidogo na mushkil. Hapo tu kama angetuelezea vizuri. Asante.
Sawa waziri.
Ni kweli Mheshimiwa Speaker, nimetatizika hapo kidogo, na kama vile Senator Mungatana amesema, wataalam hawatahusika katika mambo ya kambi ya GSU. Wataalam wanahusika katika kuona ni mahali gani ambapo hakuna maji sehemu hii, ili tujue kama patafaa kuweka makao makuu ya kaunti ndogo ya Tarasa.
Asante. Thank you. CS, Senators, I will allow supplementary questions. We will ask 3 questions. I'll take 3 questions for the CS to answer, and then the next 3 questions. The first 3 questions will be one from Julius Murgo being first, followed by Mohamed Faki second, and Senator Orwoba third. In that order, and very quickly, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity also to thank the CS for his efforts and his team. North Rift now is very peaceful. My question concerns the triangle sub-counties of one in Kerio Valley and the other one in Koloa in East Pokot or Tiati. And I thought the other one is in Sigor or that area, so that there is 3 legs standing together for the sake of security. And when answering the Honorable Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, you did not mention of the West Pokot side. Thank you.
Senator Faki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to also congratulate the CS for the good work he's doing, and also in the Coast Province on the fight against illicit drugs. I have 3 questions. One question on the issue of extrajudicial killings. I wanted the CS to confirm whether his government or the government policy is still to eliminate people extrajudicially. And so far I've had 3 people who have died suspectedly to be in the hands of the police. One is Saleh Ahmed Yusuf, formerly known as Kanderani. whose body was found beside the Malindi Highway sometime in March this year. The other two who were taken away by security officers is Jamal, who was taken away from Kidogobasi in Mvita constituency, Mombasa County, and Nabil Ahmed, who was also taken away from Makupa in Mvita sub-county. Maybe he may not have the answers ready, but we want him to explain whether it is still the government policy to eliminate people extrajudicially. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. First of all, congratulations, Waziri Kindiki, for the hard work that you continue to put in security. In 2004, the National Police Service launched gender desks in the sub-counties as well. And I'm not sure whether you're aware that there's a spike on gender-based violence, as well as intimate partner violence, and even this criminal activities are being carried out by, including the foreigners who are here. I wanted to ask, is it possible to get a report on the state on the gender desks on the sub-counties? And if possible, is it, can we try and do something to highlight the processes? Because I know that there's no legal framework. There's no, let me not say legal framework, but there's no, there are no frameworks within the gender desk to ensure that we have all the way to convictions on these criminal activities, particularly on our women. Thank you.
Mr. CS, you can proceed with the 3 questions.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the 3 senators who have raised the respective matters. Right Honourable Speaker, with regard to the statement and the concern from the distinguished senator of West Pokot County, the Reverend Murgo, I agree that Sigor is a deserving matter, it's a deserving case. I have been in that area. And I know right now, Sigor constituency, which is now in Pokot Central, where Pokot Central sub-county is. That sub-county, because of the triangle the senator for West Pokot is talking about, it's not a very happy triangle. It's not very happy. It is not happy because that's where we have lost so many people from Baringo, across the Koloa Bridge to Tot and Marakwet East, where we've added, the Baringo side, Koloa side, we put a sub-county there. On the Elgeyo Marakwet side, we are trying to resolve the issue by creating the Kerio Valley sub-county, which will solve the Tot, Liter problem, Kaben area. But in West Pokot County, it is true. That area in Sigor, near Cheptulel, that is the area where this country recently has lost one of its most illustrious sons in the line of duty. And therefore it's a deserving case, and subject, of course, to public participation procedures, as has been done in other cases. The government will be more than happy to expedite the establishment of an additional sub-county, so that, again, to bring equity in that triangle among the communities and among the counties, so that every part of our country and of that region feels protected by the government, as is their right. Right Honourable Speaker, the distinguished senator from Mombasa County, my old colleague, Senator Faki, and my professional senior, has asked whether this administration condones extrajudicial killings. Honourable Speaker, I want to inform the House and the country without fear of contradiction that this government does not condone the use of the weapons that are for the protection of the people of Kenya the weapons entrusted by law in our law enforcement agencies to destroy lives and to kill people outside the law. One of the first administrative measures that President William Ruto took very early in this administration was to disband a unit within the National Police Service which had been incriminated in going out of their mandate to torture and kill the people of Kenya outside the law. This government does not tolerate the use of the machinery, the security machinery of the state, to kill people and to kill the citizens of Kenya. The weapons we have them to protect the nation and to protect the people, not to kill them and harass them. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, with regard to the three particular issues he has raised, I would encourage, so that we are structured and we are thorough and deliberate, if that request could come in terms of a specific question addressed with us, because we would like to know, for example, whether a report has been made and what's the OB number, so that the answer we give the House and the country is extremely accurate and can be relied on. So I will not comment on these individual cases unless there is a specific written question with information that can help us track whether a report has already been done, so that we can exactly identify, because people can just say, oh, Mr. So-and-so is lost, but where is he? And one way of establishing, or rather helping the police and investigative authorities to investigate an issue, or even civil society to ascertain the truth, is when there is an OB number and somebody formally enters a complaint of a missing person or a person they suspect has been killed outside the law. I would request that to be provided. I would be more than happy to give feedback on those particular cases. I am glad the Senator from Mombasa started by appreciating what government is doing to fight drug traffickers and people who have profited from the lives of the people of Kenya by selling cocaine and selling dangerous drugs that has rendered a big number of our able-bodied and productive young people zombies and useless and unable to contribute to national building. I'm glad to hear that from the Senator of Mombasa. I want to assure you, Senator Faki, through the Speaker, and I want to assure the people of Kenya, the people of Mombasa and Coast region, the three greatest enemies to our sustainability as a nation: drug traffickers, terrorists, and other organized criminals, including the banditry cartels. Those ones, we will be very merciless with them. We will use whatever method, whatever way, whatever resources to bring down organized group of killers. And I want to isolate those three categories: drug traffickers who have destroyed many of our children. Secondly, terrorists who continue to hurt very many parts of our country. And thirdly, all those who are at the center of organizing and perpetuating organized crime, including banditry. We'll be very merciless with them. And the weapons that I talked about that we have in our possession are to help neutralize and bring those characters down. That's all what I can say. I submit. Thirdly and lastly, my good sister here, the distinguished Senator Oroba, has asked about the gender desk. It is true, Mr. Speaker, we've seen a recent spike in deaths which are related to gender, you know, our women, our children, our girls, daughters, mothers, wives, being killed brutally by people who either they are family members or intimate partners, neighbors, and this is worrying us. It is also true that we have had gender desks since 2004, and I want to promise the House, Senator Oroba, through the Speaker, and the country at large that this is a good moment for us to revamp the efficacy of those gender desks, but also to track the whole process and make sure the accountability bit leads to very harsh convictions for people who are killing our children, our spouses, our sisters, taking advantage of the very innocent setup of the relationship between men and women in a family setup or in the other social setup. So I want to even challenge Senator Oroba and the House and parliamentarians to help us as law enforcement to develop the policy framework that can track this problem and provide a solution beyond just having a gender desk where a woman can go and report crime, and have a register and find ways of humiliating and making and embarrassing all these people in our midst who are really attacking and killing our women, our children, taking advantage of their proximity through relationships and through family arrangements. I submit.
Thank you, CS. We'll proceed to the next questions. I think I'll allow 4 questions because of time. In this order, Senator Mohamed Chute, followed by Senator Muthama Agnes, followed by Senator Veronica Maina, and lastly, John Kinyo, Senator John Kinyo. Very quickly, please. There's no time.
Thank you very much, Honorable Senator, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the last time the CS came before this House, I had 2 questions, supplementary questions. One question was the issue of NPR recruitment in Marsabit, and the second one was the issue of Ilret sub-county. And he promised us that time that it will take 60 days. And I want to thank him very much that he has kept his promise. The NPR recruitment has been done. They were well trained, and now all the NPRs have been deployed. The issue of Ilret he has just mentioned. I also thank him for that. And the question I have now, Honorable Speaker, is on the Hilo gold mining sites that was closed at 6:30 hours on 14th March 2024. I wanted to ask the Honorable Cabinet Secretary if he's going to call leaders from Marsabit County to discuss this issue of Hilo in the bell of Marsabit County. And on the issue of Ilret, I want the CS to visit Ilret if possible, to look at the living condition of the police officers in that police station. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Chute. Senator Agnes Muthama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me first of all start by congratulating the CS. Whenever he's called here, he comes, unless he's very tight on his job. And I want to commend you for that, because there are many others who are called here and they don't appear. My question is about the recently gazetted sub-counties. Mr. CS, I remember very well when you entered your office, you called us as leaders of Machakos County, led by the governor, and we all came to your office and you requested us to give you our very first priorities that we need Machakos, to be done for Machakos. And we gave you Kalama to be separated from Machakos as a sub-county. We also gave you Kibauni to be separated from Mwala sub-county, and Modesi and Divine to be separated from Masinga. Mr. CS,
one traveling from Masinga town to go to Modesi and Ndivini takes the same time that one travels to Nairobi or to Machakos. It is quite a distance. And you remember we also discussed about the bridge there where people, just cross anyhowly. And we wanted to know when you are going to make a bridge there, even if it's to do something like what is in Mombasa, Likoni Ferry, to be able to, for those people to cross with dignity. Because the way they cross, even many of them are killed by crocodiles and hippos. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Veronica Maina.
Honorable CS, thank you for coming back to Senate, and thank you for the good job you are doing. We are proud of how you are managing the docket, and you are very aware and conversant of the issues that are being raised across the 47 counties. Now, my two questions are, I'm still not clear on how many sub-counties the ministry has so far gazetted and when they are going to be operationalized. I think it is important that we come out very clear on that issue because of the impact that gazettement has to any upcoming elections in 2027. That's one. And then the other issue...
Senator Veronica, only one question, please. You can see the time.
It's a very crucial one, Honorable Speaker, because it's about the retooling and the reskilling of security forces to be able to manage disaster management, to handle disaster management, especially in view of the fact that one person, Samuel Kamau Kagwanja, accidentally had a very bad accident 2 days ago and dived into Sagana, the very big river in Sagana. He has not been retrieved, neither has his vehicle been retrieved. And personnel who are believed to be Navy officers tried to retrieve and were unable to do so and exited the scene. I do not know whether you have information on that and what is the ministry doing to retool and reskill security forces to intervene in disaster management in a situation like what we are in right now in Kenya. The floods, the extensive floods. Is there any effort to retool, reskill at county level, sub-county level, so that we can have interventions that are critical to saving lives across the 47 counties?
Thank you, Senator. Senator John Kinyo.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza namshukuru waziri wa usalama kwa kazi nzuri ambayo anatenda. Si kwa mambo ya mafuriko na si kwa usalama peke yake. Lakini swali langu ni hili. Waziri, kuna hii idara ama taasisi ya IPOA. Sijui uhusiano wako mnafanya kazi na wizara namna gani, kwa sababu nikitembea kaunti ya Laikipia, maafisa wengi wa usalama nasikia wakiwa na wamevunjika roho bila motisha, kwa sababu juzi mahali kunaitwa Karionga askari wa NPR pigwa risasi kuuawa. Mahali kunaitwa Mutara, mzee wa kanisa ambaye anaitwa Muriuki alipigwa risasi kuuawa, na hapo karibu kuna askari polisi, askari wa Astu. Lakini askari wanapofika badala ya na wanaona majambazi, badala ya kuwapiga risasi moja kwa moja, wanafyatua risasi hewani kwa sababu wanaogopa wakiitwa na hii taasisi ya IPOA wao na familia zao watakuwa katika shida. Sijui waziri, hayo mambo ama mnafanya kwa njia vipi na hii taasisi, kwa sababu inavunja moyo askari wetu wa usalama. Nimekuwa nikiongea na wao, wanaogopa, wananiambia Senator, mimi nikipiga mwizi risasi nitaulizwa maswali, sasa nashindwa waziri, kama IPOA ndio watakuwa wakitulinda ama ni askari polisi. Asante.
Thank you, Senator. Bwana CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, with regard to those three questions, with your indulgence, I forgot to inform the House and the country that the question that was asked by Senator Roba on gender-based violence had a component on what we are doing on foreign nationals who come to the country, and then they start harassing, killing our women, our girls, and so forth. And I must say we've become extremely harsh on such people who misuse the hospitality of Kenya. to come and cause us harm. And the reason I have mentioned that, Honorable Speaker, is because it should go on record that we are doing a lot, and we are deporting all characters who are misusing our hospitality, and we are not even thinking twice about it. And I want to particularly thank Senator Oroba, and I think the PS for gender, and all the women leaders here who helped us just this week to deport a character who had attacked a disabled woman who was in a relationship with them. So I thought that should go on record. It's in the interest of the country. And I applaud you, Senator Oroba, and all the other leaders.
Yes, just to interrupt you, the House will rise as soon as you conclude answering the questions, because we're already out of time.
Okay. All right, thank you. Very well. Thank you, Speaker. Then the three last questions that have been asked by the various senators, Honorable Speaker. The first one is from the Senator for Marsabit, Senator Chute, and I'm grateful for the remarks he has made about me and the work we are doing together, and I'm also grateful for the support that he and the entire political leadership of Marsabit continues to give us as security managers, dealing with a very delicate county with a lot of dynamics, and thank you very much, Senator, for the good leadership. Honorable Speaker, we will be calling the leaders of Marsabit to discuss the closure of Jilo mining site in Dabel. We had a very bad situation in March. We lost 7 people as a result of violence which erupted in the mines. Part of that violence involved foreign nationals who are not Kenyans. We had to shut down that mine because it was a big threat to national security. We will not reopen it until we are in concurrence with the communities and the leaders of the modalities of making sure that the sites will not be infiltrated by armed elements, some of them which were planning attacks on Kenyan territory from those mines. The place had been infiltrated by elements associated with terror groups and others associated with insurgent groups and fighting groups from other countries. And we had no option but to shut it down, cordon it off, and therefore we'll be calling the leaders of Marsabit in the coming weeks once the prevailing emergency goes down, so that we can sit down and discuss the modalities of reopening the Jilo mining site. I've been there in person, and it's a beautiful place, and the people of Marsabit and the people of Kenya should benefit from the huge wealth that is there, and but we will do so without undermining national security or terror groups and other fighting groups, even from outside our country, using that to stage attacks and cause instability in our land. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the Senator for, and I'll visit Hilleret as requested by Senator Chute, and I'll inform him, and we will go together. The Senator for Machakos, the distinguished Senator, my sister, Senator Kavindam, has asked about the request from Machakos. I want to say the following, Honorable Speaker, that when we published the Gazette notice of 14th February 2024, if you look at the diversity, the national diversity, which we are very keen to make sure we maintain, only 32 counties featured there. And we believe each of the remaining 16 counties, including Machakos, have deserving cases of not necessarily sub-counties everywhere, but even lower level, like divisions, lower level administrative units, like divisions, locations, and sublocations. The request, particularly from the leadership of Machakos, is deserving. It's a large county, and some of the sub-counties like Masinga are big, and even lower level administrative units will be created. The next Gazette notice, which hopefully once we collect another cohort of counties, will implement as much as possible the recommendations and the wishes of the leaders of Machakos County and the public, so that that consultation we had is not reduced to just a talking. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, is what has been raised by my brother, the Senator for Laikipia County, who I have very fond memories of our time together here in this house, because there was a time I got into trouble, political trouble in this house for no reason. And the Senator for Laikipia Counties is one of the 7 gallant senators who stood with me at a very difficult time and helped me to carry the cross because there was nothing wrong I had done, and helped me to bear the pain of what sometimes is bad politics in our country. So I'm very grateful to Senator Kinyua and the others, some of them left like Senator Cheragai. Now, Right Honorable Speaker, IPOA is a statutory body established under law. The mandate of IPOA is essentially crucial for the democratization and enhanced transparency and accountability of the security formations. It is in line with our constitutional order that says that national security organs must be subordinate to civilian oversight. That is why even the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces is a civilian, to make sure that all national security organs, the National Police Service, the National Intelligence Service, the Kenya Defense Forces, are subordinated to civilian authority. And therefore, the role of a IPOA is important in our democracy, to make police accountable. We do have within the National Police Service an internal affairs unit that looks at maladministration, misuse, or abuse of power and excesses. But IPOA as a separate independent entity is important. However, and this is my last submission, Honorable Speaker, we are engaging with IPOA to increasingly sensitize them and that institution with due respect to concentrate on what their mandate is. And their mandate is to make sure that police officers, because they wield a lot of power because of the weapons and the law is behind them in terms of the actions and decisions they can take, they don't misuse those weapons and that power to harm the public or to conduct what Senator Faki was talking about, extrajudicial killings. However, what is not permitted is any excesses from any institution, including IPOA, to try and interfere with the sacred duty of our national security organs to protect the public and the safety of the people of Kenya. The fight against organized crime, including banditry, terrorism, etc., is a very serious and solemn engagement. It's not a laughing matter. And therefore, I would expect IPOA to rapidly arrest and prosecute an officer who is drunk and disorderly and goes to a bar, opens fire because he has drunk people's beer and has no money to pay for it. That officer should be arrested. And there are very few in our NPS. There are very few, a very small minority. The majority of our officers, Mr. Speaker, including our officers in the front line, protecting the country in very risky environments like the ones Senator Kinyua is talking about here, in the North Rift, in Northeastern, in Boni, the officers there are not having a holiday. They are confronted with great risk themselves to their own safety. And we have directed them to use the weapons they have to protect themselves and protect the people of Kenya. And there will be no officer who uses their weapons in accordance with the Constitution and the law of our country to protect themselves from criminals and terrorists, or to protect the people of Kenya. They will not be prosecuted by anybody. They will not be taken anywhere. We cannot allow our police officers to be brought down by the fire of a criminal We cannot allow that situation to happen. And we have directed them, they must bring down dangerous criminals before they harm them. They must take them down before they take our officers down or before they take the people of Kenya down, period. But police officers, the very few of them that sometimes go on excess and they are involved in very unrelated security issues, not related to security and law enforcement, and they misuse firearms. Those ones, we don't even need to be consulted. Even the IG told me, it doesn't even need to be told, it doesn't need to give consent, let them be prosecuted, and let them be jailed for very many years. I submit.
One moment, Senators. Resume your seats. Resume your seat. Senator CS, there was a question by Nduati, Veronica Nduati, Senator Veronica Nduati, regarding retooling and retraining police officers to deal with floods.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's true. Sorry, I forgot to respond to the request, the question by the distinguished Senator Veronica Maina, also a comrade in my previous life. We struggled together. Now, Mr. Speaker, it is true. We have to look at the curriculum that we teach our recruits. The issue of disaster management, disaster response should be a very important component of the curriculum of every law enforcement and security official. That said, before this House soon, the government will be presenting the National Disaster Risk Mitigation Bill, which addresses some of these things in terms of making sure that disaster response management, search and rescue, coordination, and it is much more efficient. That bill is a very crucial bill. It will reduce the kind of incidents we are having when we have serious disasters like what we are having in the country. But in terms of our own officers, it's going to be an important part of the initial entry-level training curriculum, but also in terms of continuous on-the-job training for our officers. And also on that point, Right Honourable Speaker, the Coast Guard, we are modernizing and increasing the Coast Guard, because the Coast Guard is not just for protecting the territorial waters of Kenya, but also any inland activities where search and rescue in water-related situations is happening. The Coast Guard will be empowered to support those kind of rescues. I will check on that particular matter raised by Senator Veronica Maina, and outside the chamber, she is free to reach me so that we can give her feedback, which she can tell the people of Murang'a on where we are. I submit.
Honourable Senators, it is now 1:13 p.m. and having concluded the business for which I extended the hours of sitting, pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, the Senate stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, 8th May 2024 at 2:30 p.m.